Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. This is an angry Thor who doesn't want to be here.
Because you're not mommy.
Look at that! Look at that!
But
Thor was not happy. He wants to go with mommy. If my wife is over there, he has to be rubbing against her. He doesn't want to be. So that was torture. She was standing over there where he couldn't be next to her. So anyway, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. It's clobbering time. This is where we take superheroes and battle them in our brains with my crazy hair. Holy mackerel. And it's an open invite. So here I am going to put the invite to the chat. If anybody knows where Shadow Punk is, he was a lot of fun, and he hasn't been here in a while. And my chair is sinking. Jeez. I thought I fixed that. All right. Let me bring this down just a little bit. And we will begin. I'm going to filibuster a bit to get some viewers. If anybody wants to join us, here is the link to join me live right here. Have your camera on, and we'll talk. Okay. I'm waiting for my chat to show up on my laptop. Okay, Marcus will be joining us. And what will we do? We will do this. Okay, my Kickstarter is still active for a short while. So let's look at my Kickstarter over here. This is Heroic Tales. It's on Kickstarter. Only 48 backers on Kickstarter. The Fund My Comic is closed for now. This is where you could get the normal cover by Renzo Rodriguez. The other variant covers. This seems to have sold a bit. 0 on this. It's good. At this point, don't buy it because then I got to pay to get it prepared. But this is the Michael T. Gilbert cover. I love this cover. This is so much fun. Silver Age whimsicalness. You know, I just really loved it. I can't believe I got a comic book with the Michael T. Gilbert cover. And then here's the glorious back cover. I love this so much. So there we go with that. I'll close that. Let's address the chat. Marcus says he's waiting for his laptop. Our Luniverse says, hello, how you doing? And that's it. Oh, we got Marcus here. How you doing, Marcus?
Oh, hey. Well, I'm just going to let you know I was here.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going through the chat. So
it's been a long week.
Yeah, it's been a long week. It's been a long. Every day is Groundhog's Day over here at John's Long Box.
Well, I've been there.
My camera's out of focus.
I've been there. Yeah, I don't work hard. I drive a lot, so I'm worn out from driving. I have to have skill and knowledge to do what I do, but I don't put wire. Too often. Sometimes I do, but run wires and stuff. I don't do that much anymore.
Yeah, you run data wires too, right?
Yeah.
I
I
don't like driving. Even before my accident, I just don't like driving.
I just do a lot of it. It's just part of this job.
But
what the driving did is gets me very close to CG and comics and all that stuff because that's what I'm listening to. Those are the podcasts.
My buddy Cam,
and everybody really.
My buddy Cam is a pharmacist that he works nights, so he just. I think he has a weird schedule. I think he works 12 days in a row.
Yeah.
Then he has 5 days off or something like that. So he just all night long just listens to all the
podcasts. I have other stuff I listen to too, but I get worn out on the sports and the podcast. I always want to listen to some comics. It could be any of them and anybody who's on. And I have a long ride and I listen to them at 1.5 speed. It could be you. It could be any of them.
Do I have a funny voice? 1.5 speed?
I think you sound okay.
I never listen. I don't listen to myself. Everybody's like, did you re-listen to Mark Miller? I was like, no. I turned it on and I'm like, oh, I can't stand it.
I never rewatch any of this. When we go back and I see, watch this. I don't watch myself. I don't want to know.
So I went to. I know people are going to ask. Today was the day I saw the specialist about my neck. Yeah. So my wife and I went, and the first thing that the specialist came in, this tiny woman, but very serious looking. She had you ever like my this is apropos of nothing, but my general practitioner, she just seems like a goofball. Like she doesn't have like a gravitas about her that makes me trust her. But this specialist walked in, and
Yeah, specialists are like that.
She just had this like command presence is the only way to describe it. The D&D term, she had like a high charisma or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she, and I also said to my wife, I go, it's mean to say, but she had like resting bitch face, but she was just very, and she just goes, you're very lucky. You're very lucky. And my wife and I got like,
it's good news.
Yeah. She goes, have you seen the pictures? I said, no. So she showed the scans of the neck, and she goes, you can't see anything here. You can't, because as you roll through it, I guess you'll go through layers of the scan. She goes, you not see nothing, there. And it's this, because the way that they told me, you have a hairline fracture and you see two vertebrae. And they were like, matter of fact about it. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not in any pain, blah, blah, blah. But when she showed it to me, like, I don't know, the C2 vertebrae is like right under the brain. She goes,
wow.
She goes, if this was, she goes, you got two arteries over here and it's right under your brain. She goes, if this was slightly more pronounced, she goes, all you would be able to do is move your eyes and move your mouth.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And she goes, and then you see these arteries, if the bone
chips off.
If it chips off, she goes, that's it, you have a stroke, you're dead before you get to the hospital.
You'll be up like I was, like in the middle of the night, like, why am I here? Here?
But I didn't know it was that bad. I just pictured like, I don't know, a little.
I have to say, when was it, like when I fell? Well, when I got pulled down by a car, and I broke my leg and my hand, but I didn't have anything to do with my head or neck, and my hips were really bad. It was bad, but yeah. I didn't. My back, my neck, my head. I mean, any of that stuff, and you're a mess. And the only that was bad.
She said she does not want to do surgery. It'll be a long, difficult, painful surgery with a long recovery time. But she says, I want you in a neck brace for another month. So I thought I was almost done. So she's like, I will be out of work a lot longer than I thought. But then again, this was a lot worse than I thought. But anyway, people are always going to ask, so I wanted to share that information.
The only thing I can think of that would be equal was when my wife, who's in the other room, was telling the story again how I got COVID. I don't remember any of it. I just woke up. I said, I can't breathe. She thought it was an asthma attack. I said, no, call 911. And she did. But this was revealed the last time she talked about it that I didn't know, that if she had waited 11 seconds more, that would have been it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's do it's clobbering time now. I just wanted to get that news out of the way. Thank you, Zach Dan. You're always there with the
blessing. I'm so happy about that, John.
Yeah. And I was pretty flippant about it because I didn't, the way they explained it, the emergency room, they didn't tell me like how bad, but I guess that's probably for the best. But anyway, I've been leaving this on. I don't take it off. I don't play around. And then my wife's like, let's go to lunch wherever you want to go. So we went to a ramen place. Nice. And as soon as we order, the fire alarms go off. So they come running out. It's just smoke. It's just smoke from the kitchen. We're cooking. We don't have a fire. We don't have your. So my wife looks at me. I'm like, he goes, do you guys want your food to go? I mean, we just literally put in our order, and I'm like, no, how long? So he goes, the fire department has to come and turn it off. So my wife put on her headphones for her. You know what I mean? We just sat there with the fire. I'm like, this is just a metaphor for my life. Just
crazy
eating soup with the lights flashing and everything. Hey, Zach Tan, Logic's finest. Yep. There's nothing else I can do. I'm out of work. And the insurance company has no official document that says I'm injured. So the doctor's emailing me a document that I can send to the insurance company because I can't get reimbursed or anything until I get that paperwork. So there you go.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah. It's just funny after all of these like you guys just paid $89,000 for an emergency room in a hospital and everything like that, but there's no documentation that I'm injured. All right, whatever. Anyway, let's get to this. So
we almost had a cat attack. So
we have This week on It's Clobbering Time, for anybody who's watching for the first time, I always try to treat everything as if it's the first time. So what it is let's just pretend that we're going to the comic book store. And, remember the comic book store? I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, we'd go every Wednesday. There'd be the same group of people getting their comics and like, oh, I can't believe you're getting Spider-Man. Spider-Man stinks. No, Iron Man's the best. No, Batman can beat the ball. And we just have a fun, friendly, sometimes heated, but always fun argument about who would win in a fight. So this week, we kind of bounced ideas last week, and this week it's the Silver Surfer, Norrin Rad, versus Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern. So, there you got your cat just launched.
Well, he's just going to step on everything. I got 2 cats in here with me.
Yeah, there's one always sitting on the windowsill over there. My cat
There's
doesn't.
one on the windowsill now. Yeah.
My cat, he wants me to talk to his agent first before he goes on camera.
The secret is I think they like me better than my wife.
Well, my cat's right there. You saw how angry he was, and he's over there as good as gold. So
he's not angry. He just wants to say hi.
So as normal,
Good guys.
what I like to do is we'll talk about the individual characters. Marcus, since you're the guest, you pick. Who would you like to talk about? Green Lantern or Silver Surfer?
I guess I speak about Silver Surfer. It doesn't really matter.
And guys, before we really get into it, if anybody else wants to come in, pick your champion, or if you want to talk, make your case. Keep in mind this is a friendly, fun argument.
The Silver
Surfer, join us. Pop in and join us. I would really like to see new faces. Whatever. It's supposed to be goofballs talking about goofballs.
Share this out.
Okay. So
don't forget to hit the like button either.
Like, subscribe, all that nonsense.
It matters though. It matters
Power Cosmic versus Willpower Incarnate, the Herald of God. Okay, I like this. Lunaverse has put a good subtitle on this to make it a big.
Well, wasn't Luna on last week? So we can't get mad at him.
No, no, I don't get mad at anybody.
I know you.
Mark, before we begin, did you watch my talk with George O'Connor, the guy who does the books on mythology?
Yes, I did.
That
was fascinating. At first, I'm like, who's this guy? And I'm like, wait,
right. He doesn't have a Twitter account, and he's not a mainstream comic book guy. He's not a CG guy, so nobody knew who he was.
Every once in a while, there's those guys who do comics, and they want to do comics just like you want to do comics, or I want to do comics. And somehow, instead of getting Marvel or crowdfunding or DC, they end up at Penguin or something, and they get books out of it, and they do terrific business.
His books are being pushed by the New York Times and Scholastic, and it's not woke stuff. It's Greek mythology. Mythology.
I had a teacher, Andre LeBlanc. He was assistant to Will Eisner, and he did the Illustrated Bible. And then for a long time, that was the biggest selling comic book type of book. But comic book people had no idea what it was. And who's the guy who does the Action Bible?
I don't know, but there's a guy who
works for Zach. Sergio Cariello.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's terrific.
Yeah.
And he does regular comics, and he's worked with Chuck Dixon and everything. But nobody knows that he works on this almost all the time. And he also
does a lot of Italian Westerns. Like in Italy, you can get American Western comics. It's a big genre in Italy, and here in the United States, nobody's getting.
Nobody cares.
I just bought a French.
Yeah.
I bought a book called Blue Coats. It's a French comic about the American Civil War. And you know what I mean? And in America, nobody knows what I'm talking about.
You'll learn about that stuff if you listen to Chuck Dixon, what you're reading.
Right.
You're fascinated by this stuff.
I call that the $20 show because every Wednesday
you won't spend $20.
It costs me $20.
Well, years ago, they used to do those illustration. Like EC did a lot of that type of thing. Civil War, Roman War, John Severn and Wally Wood, Harvey Kurtzman. They did a lot of that work way back when, and now it's almost all it became all superheroes after a while. There's no other place for some of this stuff. We don't have war comics. We don't have Western comics.
Yep.
And even in the crowdfunding, there's really not too many Western comics. I mean, there's Bronze Star and Wraith of God kind of, but not too many war
like a straight Western without monsters, without supernatural.
Yeah, even right. There isn't just a Western. You like Tex, that great Italian Western that Joe Kubert worked on.
Tex Ritter. I got a big hardcover edition right here.
I mean, every Hollywood Western star had their own comic book. Gene Colan worked on one for years and years.
But
They had
George Connor. If anybody's watching this, I rarely tell people to go back and watch, but I just
no, that was good.
you guys geeking out about Greek mythology to the point he even stopped. It was just like, we're just geeking out now, right? It was a lot of
he
fun.
knew a lot of it. He was a real comic guy too. He wasn't just some
I was surprised
guy.
at how much
he read all the comics. Yeah. He just
And
got
the
into
other-
doing mythology.
And if I could push another channel, this Wednesday night at 8:30, I was on Comic Book Team Up with RJ of the Fourth Age. So if you go to the Fourth Age,
I watched that one.
this now it's going to drive me nuts that I can't remember his name, but Eddie, Eddie Edward.
I saw that one too.
What a
terrific artist, right? What a natural. What a complete natural.
Yeah, what a talent. And this guy is he does it all by himself, but he doesn't know how to get out there. So like I already messaged Rini and said, "Can you check out this guy, give him advice or whatever?" You know what I mean? Like this is a guy that and he's young. I think in another 10 years, he's going to, in a healthy industry, this guy would be treated like a Barry Windsor Smith or something.
If she does like Fiendish 3.5, like she does that side books, he's a guy who could definitely do that for her. Because I know Michael Rushbrook did a great job on it. 2.5, but I don't know if she's going to use the same person all the time.
Yeah, who knows?
Although I think there's going to be I think it's going to be a while before this Fiendish 3. I think that their work schedule is difficult.
So, but anyway, so that's what I've been doing this week. A lot of talk. And then last night at 11 o'clock at night, I did a Comics Great.
I fell asleep. Sorry.
I know you got to work. I only did it at 11. Well, I'll tell you.
I know why.
Comics Great is a new series that I started work. I just talk about great comics. It's because I'm bored, and it's because I'm home and I'm stir crazy. I'm trying not to spend money. So I just went on and I just started talking about comics. Well, I talked about the Elementals, and the Elementals is a super important comic that not because of Bill Wellington, because of the shady dealings of the company. It kind of got memory hold. But I was actually doing research on Comico.
Comico. Yeah, that's a tough company. I got books from them.
And
they had a lot of decent books, though.
So I'm going to actually do a video, probably, I don't know, maybe Monday, about the V&V modules, and then talk about Comico. But anyway, I forget, RRTNZ, he's a guy from New Zealand. He was so excited. He was like, John, I would love to come, because it's an open invite show. John, I would love to talk to, but I'm in New Zealand. So we split the difference, and that was the only time that I could do it.
Yeah, I want to listen to. I got to start that one from the beginning.
And that was a lot of fun.
I've had some of those comics, but I don't have all of the Elementals.
And the funny thing about that is, I have a website, Villains Vigilantes Forum. He's been a member of my forum since 2015.
Really? That's interesting.
Funny.
That's something else.
Yeah.
That's the time when I found out that Shadowpunk has been looking at my Comic Art Fans page for years.
Oh,
no idea.
Shadowpunk, where are you? You used to be my.
I see him online.
Yeah,
on Twitter.
Yeah. So anyway, after 18 minutes of filibustering, so this is it's clobbering time, and I almost said RJ Marcus. You were going to talk about Silver Surfer. Is that what you picked?
Yeah, the Silver Surfer. It was created.
Start out with who is the Silver Surfer?
He's basically, well, he was the first Herald of Galactus, as far as we know. I'm sure Galactus had heralds before the Silver Surfer. He is completely all silver. Sometimes he has underwear on, depending on what the Comics Code wants him to do. And he flies through the cosmos.
I got to interrupt you there. Is that the reason why sometimes they drew him with shorts?
I think that's why. I don't think that's been official, but I think that's why.
Okay.
I think you see it like. Listen, without the shorts, it does look kind of weird. And he's created by Jack Kirby, almost wholly by Jack Kirby, not by Stan Lee. There's really not much dispute about that. And he flies through the cosmos on a surfboard, and he used to search out planets for Galactus to eat. Apparently, that's a pretty cutthroat thing, and he would have Galactus would eat, with planets with life on it and all that, until one day he led Galactus to Earth and the Fantastic Four in that great 3-issue. And Galactus comes to Earth, but the Silver Surfer comes up. Stan Lee said, "Who is this guy?" Well, that's the Silver Surfer, in a very Jack Kirby way. And and we didn't know what powers he had. And now we find out that he has all the powers that you could almost possibly have through the power cosmic. But back then, it was just Jack Kirby's strength and bolts and surf things. And we didn't find out his origin for quite a long time. And because he was on Earth, he met Alicia Masters. And Alicia Masters awakened the humanity in him. And now he did not want Galactus to eat all these sentient beings on Earth because they were noble beings. And so he, with the Fantastic Four, tried to stop Galactus, which you have the ultimate now the ultimate nullifier, which is in John's hands. I don't think it's safe, but it is in his hands. They stopped Galactus, and
if
Galactus
Marcus talks too much, I'm flipping this switch.
Yeah, that's right. And Silver Surfer was stuck on Earth. Galactus put a barrier, and then Stanley took him away from Jack Kirby because he was going to be more of an inhuman, angry character, and made him kind of a whiny Shakespearean character, which was a terrific. Actually, as an artist, it was a terrific comic to look at.
It was nobody. I say that Silver Surfer is the biggest drama queen in comics. He's always like, "Why me?"
Hold on. I have something really special that I have. Hold on, I'll show you that regarding Silver Surfer.
I don't know this, but depending upon who did the story, the Silver Surfer was a newbie who was just like enslaved by Galactus. And then other people say that he was hundreds of years in Galactus.
Well, we found out. What I don't know, and maybe you know, I don't know what Kirby's origin of the Silver Surfer is. I do know Stan Lee's origin was, and Graham Nolan said this, it can't be what Kirby wanted, was a very 50s style, I'm going to give up my humanity to save my planet, and he became Norrin Rad, and he was full of humanity and stuff. I don't think that would be a Kirby construct. That was almost all Stan Lee, and I think that was part of the reason why they're angry. But I do have this, which is really cool.
Oh, what is that, an artist edition?
It's the artisan edition, not the artist edition. And then you could see how cool it looked, which is why people do hold that comic, although the Silver Surfer is annoying, that it looks so good. I don't know if you can really see it. That it looks so good that John Buscema did. And that people do hold it up high, especially Silver Surfer #4.
Right. So we have a question here from Smokey the Concat. Says, who is he and how did he become the Surfer? Do you want to take that?
Well, he's Norrin Rad, and Norrin Rad, Galactus came to Zenla, and Norrin Rad had, in his great love, Shalabal, tried to talk Galactus out of eating this far-flung planet, and he did. And he became,
Zenla was like a space paradise. They had
right, exactly. There's no violence,
perfect,
no want, no poor people, no need, and
filled with
Norrin he sacrificed himself.
Men and hot girls with luxurious, beautiful hair.
Beautiful hair, right? Beautiful. And Norrin gave himself up to save his planet. He offered to go and search out planets that Galactus could eat, because Galactus needs to eat the energy of the planets to keep him alive. Galactus, good nor evil, just a force of nature.
Right. And
Galactus turned him into the Silver Surfer.
Now, I always thought, to my way of thinking, and again, this is the kind of stuff I like to debate, that this was a new concept to Galactus. Galactus was like, oh, this is a good idea. Like, this is energy efficient. So if I transform this being, spend a little, because Galactus, to my way of thinking, he just his very existence, just his power is just like he exists on so many levels that he's always burdened this vast amounts of energies just to exist. So, to seek out stuff like that, he's always expending. But if he could, turn this mortal being with the fraction of his power, and then that guy goes out, it's almost like an energy efficiency. So to me, it's almost like, wow, I never thought of this, because Galactus, if he needed a herald and he had a history of having heralds, he probably would have made that deal. You know what I mean? But
He wouldn't have made that deal. I think you're right. As far as we know, that's
Norrin came up with that idea. You know, and Norrin was a misfit on his world. Everybody on his world was happy and content. It was like a world of like it was a post scarcity society. Like if they needed food, they just were handed food. If they were handed housing, you know what I mean. And because of that,
it was a utopia planet.
Yeah, to me, I can't help but think like because it's like a frivolous society. Where Norrin he wanted adventure, he wanted to explore, he wanted to find things like on Zed Law there were no mysteries anymore. Everything was conquered.
Yeah, he had that yearning.
So he was
for adventure.
Part of him wanted to go off with Galactus, but part of him wanted to stay with his love Shalabel. So he sacrificed this perfect world. He basically sacrificed heaven and this angel to go out for Galactus. Now here's another part, and I would love to see what Marcus, and I would love to see what the chat says. Norrin Radd did this out of altruism and goodness and a desire to save his life, but he also did it a little bit of selfishness because he wanted to see beyond. But I have a hard time reconciling Norrin Radd with the Silver Surfer. Like he couldn't just go to worlds and condemn them to destruction. So did Galactus alter his free will?
Yes. Okay. I think I read somewhere that Galactus cut off his humanity and made him a cold, like a Spock type of character, and that it was awakened by Alicia Masters in the Fantastic Four. And that's why he wanted to save humanity, because it reminded him they had the potential to be like Zed La.
I'm laughing at this comment. He doesn't talk like a servant. Yo, we're gonna hang down with Galactus. I don't think he would have lasted too long if he talked like that.
Logic's fine. It's just right. Galactus spent a lot of time at that point searching for worlds. I mean, what else is he going to do? He didn't have.
Yeah, Galactus had more heralds later on, but I don't think he had any heralds before Silver Surfer, and I don't think he had any heralds concurrent with Silver Surfer.
No, he had one herald at a time. I think the next herald, what was it? The Airwalker, right? In the early 70s.
Yes, it was Airwalker was the second herald.
Yeah, I drew him once.
How you doing? What Geeks Do Network? And I still have to thank you for my opening music. I want to make sure everybody understands. You were the one that's... Galactus isn't really a villain like others. He just needs massive amounts of energy or he will die. So it's like me. Yeah. I look at Galactus like Galactus needs to eat. Galactus is a sentient being that consumes. Marcus and myself are sentient human beings that consume. So like, are we evil to cows and delicious bacon pigs? They would probably think humans are evil, but we don't think we're evil. We just think we do what we need to do to eat. So this is the way I look at Galactus. I want to talk about Galactus a little bit after we're done talking about the Silver Surfer. I have theories. Like these are part of the stories that I would write if I was doing the Fantastic Four. But I want to come back to this comment, Hail the Lore. You're kind of foreshadowing some of my thoughts. Marvel didn't always use the phrase that Galactus was a consumer of. I think he was from his first appearance that Galactus needs to consume worlds, right?
That, as far as I know,
using a Death Star as a scout vessel would be inefficient. Using the Death Star, right.
It looked like the Death Star, yeah. Like, and let's see what Logic always has great comments. My mouse isn't working. Galactus said that if he eats a powerful enough world, he won't need to eat for a few years, but most worlds only satisfy him for a few months. Right. That was there's also a little bit of inconsistency that's never been worked out. Like if Galactus was to consume, say, the Earth, like is he full for a couple of 100 years? Is he full for a week? Is he just full while he's eating it? And then he just like in the Silver Surfer cartoon, which wasn't that good, it was almost as if Galactus was continually feeding. Like literally, as soon as he was done with one planet, as soon as he was done, he was like if you remember Ungoliant from Tolkien. As soon as Ungoliant was done drinking light, Ungoliant was immediately starving. Like, is there a period where Galactus is satiated and full? You know, like I just went to this ramen place. I came home, took a nap. I didn't, I don't need another bowl of ramen after that. But we aren't dealing with the villain here. We're dealing with the force of nature. Absolutely. But to an extent.
a force of you can't reason with the hurricane. You can't bargain with the tornado. He had one. This is something that they made afterwards, right? Do you know the name of that?
But
herald?
that's a retcon. That's not something.
Yeah,
that's a retcon, though.
Yeah, David, I'm not arguing with you because I do think I have memories of that. If you have more information to share about that, I would really be interested.
I'll see if I can look it up.
Animals eat animals.
I'm sure he did.
Right. Yeah, I think somebody inserted a previous Galactus Herald. His first appearance said he's the devourer of world. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm still happy about that. People are still saying it was a lot of fun. I'm still happy about that. And Mark Miller said to message him again when I read those Justice Leagues by Perez. So I will message him again. Well, whether or not he comes back or not is another thing. But I do invite him to open. That would be fun if he popped in tonight. The cartoon was yes.
I just went and looked at the Heralds of Galactus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Kazar, Nova 2, Rom, Silver Surfer, Thor. Ultimates. What? You can't even count. I'm sorry. You can't count modern Marvel because apparently everybody and their brother has been a Herald of Galactus.
Aunt May was Herald of Galactus, right?
Aunt May in that What If comic.
Yep. Hell, Emily, how you doing? Hey, Grey Wolf is here. Yep. That's a retcon. I think the Silver Surfer was.
I'm just going to talk that Silver Surfer was originally. I'm sure that they would go back. I think even I would probably,
So I might as well talk about my thoughts about Galactus. So I had, so he's the Herald of Galactus. So in order to talk about Silver Surfer, you kind of have to talk about Galactus. So Galactus was this being called Galen. And Galen was from the previous incarnation of our universe. The universe would, according in Marvel, the universe would expand in the Big Bang and then contract in the Big Crunch. And Galen existed in the universe before our pulsation of our universe, and he made his race of people that wanted to survive. They made this incubation tube that survived the Big Crunch, and then boom, Galactus was in this like cube egg for untold millennia, and then he evolved into Galactus. So there you go. Now Galactus needs to feed. Now I would always think like, why would there be a Galactus? Why? You know what I mean? Like, and I know in that trial of Reed Richards, what was it, 267? Mm-hmm. They had Galactus is a storm, he's a test, and blah 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 blah. But I say that's like a Viking understanding. That's Odin's Viking understanding of Galactus. To me, and this is my speculation, this is like I always said I wanted to write the Fantastic Four. So this is one of the things, I don't mind telling you this because it'll never happen. But I would find that Reed Richards is probably the only person who understands the nature of Galactus. And that's why Reed and Galactus kind of have like an understanding. And what Galactus does, and why did Reed saving Galactus? You don't save a hurricane. You don't save a tornado. You don't save a mudslide. You know what I mean? You protect everybody, and then you know what I mean? Like Reed specifically risked his life to save Galactus. Why? Because he doesn't want to tell anybody. But the way I look at it is there's things beyond the universe that devour universes. There's a food chain. This is my speculation, guys. So, cows eat the grass, the wolves eat the cows, the humans hunt the wolves, the tigers hunt the humans, and blah, 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 all the way up the chain to Galactus as the apex predator. But we find out that there's predators above Galactus. I'm talking like Yog Saga, Cthulhu type stuff. And what does Galactus do? He's battling them. And what are the Sentinels doing? The Sentinels are providing the defense, but Galactus is going out and literally fighting these, and we don't even see it because it's like Galactus is in his you know what I mean? It's on a level that we comprehend. And then after these battles, he needs to feast. He needs to replenish his it. And if he doesn't, things worse than Galactus will get in. So he's like the necessary evil. And while he's battling these things, it's just too much going on. The Silver Surfer goes around and gets him food. So it was kind of like a betrayal for the Silver Surfer, but at the same time, he likes humanity. And why did he save humanity? because Franklin Richards is going to be another celestial kind of thing. Like Silver Surfer recognized that, but we don't tell everybody. So, and I would make
Franklin wasn't alive when the Surfer first
well,
came.
he sees the future. He
Right.
recognizes.
No, I know.
You know what I mean?
He
And
does see
that's
the
what I would
future,
have
that's true.
is and the reason why Galactus now, like it used to be, Galactus would eat planet Muscovania, and then he would be satiated for 1,000 because he wasn't spending energy. But now these Beyonder things are increasing their assault, and because of this assault, we got the Beyonder is now paying attention. Something is happening, and this is what I would do. This would be my main story: is why does Galactus need to feed so much when it was implied in the past that he fed less? That would be my main Fantastic Four story.
Could you imagine Jack Kirby creating Galactus? Like just as comes out of his pencil, Galactus. I mean, that's crazy. That's just.
I always thought it's funny that he had a G on him when he's.
Now we think about Galactus. Oh, of course, Galactus.
Right.
But it's 1965, and you're creating Galactus.
Well,
there's nothing like in comics like before.
Well, it's another Old Testament thing. Like
yeah, but right. But how many guys were thinking that at that time?
I think it was with George O'Connor when we were talking about mythology and stuff, and he was bringing up Jack Kirby and.
But yeah, that was interesting because Jack Kirby worked with Norse mythology, and this is getting a little off topic, since the 40s. Thor and Odin showed up in his comics in the 40s before.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Way before Marvel. Oh, yeah, Thor. There's a couple of things where Thor was a villain, or they used him as a fake out against like the
Thor would be a villain if you go for his mythological stories. He wouldn't be the good guy.
He always liked Norse too. He didn't really bring up Greek as much. Kirby. I mean, Simon and Kirby. But you always think it's Kirby, right? So, yeah, he used Thor in the 40s a couple of times. And then once in the 50s, when they were still doing, before he was taking over. And even I think when he did Green Arrow for DC, because they needed somebody to fight.
Yeah. So, if I remember correctly, like we were talking about this with George O'Keefe, he does those mythology comics. Jack Kirby was no stranger to biblical lore. I think he came from a very strict religious family, or at least a very.
They were religious, yeah.
Yeah, they were a religious family. I don't know if there was rabbis or anything like that, but Kirby, I'm pretty sure attended Hebrew school and studied the Torah, and he was very. He understood like all the different sects. Like there's this Gnostic sect that believed that the God of the Old Testament was the bad guy. And, I'm not saying he believed this, and I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just saying that there's I think there's a Gnostic, I forget where they're from, but like it was a heresy that was defeated. We're talking like King Arthur times. But this heresy believed that the God of the Old Testament was a deceiver, and he was harsh, and he was killing the firstborn of and then when Jesus came, he defeated the God of the Old Testament and showed us the new God. And the God of the evil God was the Yalder Boa, some unpronounceable name.
Right.
And that was the inspiration for Galactus. If my memory serves, was Galactus is like, what if that God was to come to the earth? Because they were joking, Stan and Jack were joking. What's the next threat? And like God. But they were too religious to actually have, like, too respectfully.
Right. Marvel really didn't bring that up
in the comic book, much less God as a bad guy. So Jack went to this heresy that I find fascinating. It's ripe for comic book. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's what he made. And that's I don't know. I'm amused that it says G. And then of course I love what John Byrne had. The Trial of Galactus, when all the aliens interpreted Galactus.
I was just going to ask you what you thought about that.
Yeah,
I was just thinking of that.
That was one of those things that,
well,
to me, Bill Willingham and John Byrne are two of the masters of taking something that we take for granted and putting a nice, logical, different viewpoint on it.
To me, the two creators that really got Kirby, like writing and drawing, there's other artists, are really Walt Simonson and John Byrne.
No argument.
They just got Kirby when they did the New Gods, and then Orion in different ways, but they kind of got Kirby, infused their work, infused their writing. I know that Byrne, Star is a little dulled because he doesn't do as much anymore, but especially the Fantastic Four, the first 3/4 of it, anyway. He really understood all that, and other guys come up to that level, but those guys consistently can do it.
Logic asks a great question. What about the story that Galactus is the balance against the Celestials, who's created by eternity? There is a story, and correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes I dream comic book stories, and I think they're real. So let me know. But they expanded on the idea that Galactus is a test, as shown in the trial of Reed Richards, that the Celestials are these Kirby-esque. Keep in mind that the Celestials were never supposed to be part of the Marvel Universe properly when he was doing.
None of the Eternals were supposed to be part of it.
And then it wasn't until that 12-issue series, and I can't remember who wrote that, but that's when the Eternals were folded. That's why they had the cosmic powered Hulk robot, because they wanted to have Marvel.
Well, before that, the Celestials were the Eternals were brought in by Roy Thomas during that long Thor run.
Right, that's right. You're right.
And he did a lot of Siegfried, and he did Wagner.
That's right. I can't believe I forgot
and
that.
Then, that's what I was thinking. Keith Polar drew it. I'm assuming Keith Polar drew it. Yeah, well, that was a little long, but he really brought the Celestials. It's imperfect, the melding of the Eternals and the rest of the Marvel universe.
Right, because it makes
Roy tried to bring it in.
It makes the Eternals and the Greek gods redundant, which has always been a major problem for my logical mind. But anyway, referring to that,
that's
so
true.
Keep in mind. So other people expanded upon the story, and I wish I could remember where this was. That the Celestials would go around testing the worlds, and making the deviants, making the perfect beings, and leaving a control group, and then Galactus would be the test that the Celestials set up. So in some aspects, Galactus was the part of the Celestials experiment, which is kind of neat, but I don't know. I like the idea of there has to be just to reduce Galactus to just like the proctor of the Celestials space exam, kind of reduces his grandeur. I like the idea of Galactus is the hero in his own story that we just can't comprehend because we're too limited, So hey, we got Tail End Studio. This is a new name. Thank you for showing up. Silver Surfer bodies Green Lantern every day of the week. But Kyle Rayner as White Lantern, woo buddy. Kirby is the king. I don't think anybody in this chat is going to disagree with that. Here's the link for anybody who wants to join in. Just have a face. John Byrne runs rings around most current comic. Yes, he does, and he could still draw. If you go to his forum, you'll see. Interesting. I think it was Manichaeism. I can't pronounce that word, but I think you're right. I'm sure I mispronounced the name of the heresy. But anyway, so if anybody could confirm, they did, to me, in my way of thinking, Norrin Radd, his agency was removed, and he became an automaton slave of Galactus until, like Marcus said, Alicia Masters woke the sleeping humanity in his brain. Otherwise, the Silver Surfer is worse than Hitler. You know what I mean?
He's pretty bad.
Nobody would. There's no redemption arc for Hitler. Why would there be a redemption arc for Silver Surfer? Just because he wears no pants?
He wears no pants.
Wow. Just drinking my coffee, guys. So that's all. Anything that and then of course he famously got imprisoned on the Earth. And he couldn't leave. He couldn't soar the spaceways. He was, you see, originally, this is why my evidence that he was a rookie, because Shalabel is still alive. And then they retconned that to the Zenlavians because of the super science. Basically, everybody was immortal. Just like they're saying, a child born now is going to live 600 years due to science. So in Zenla, their super science keeps everybody alive, but then Zenla got destroyed, and Shalabel is still alive, and blah 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 blah. So who knows? It's a little inconsistent, but I will buy the fact that a perfect world conquered death too, and that's so maybe Norrin Radd himself is hundreds, if not centuries, a millennia old, and same with Chalabale. And they already established that even when Galactus destroys a world, it's not total devastation. There are like a few remnants. It's almost like it becomes like a like apocalyptic world, like
Did you
Xandar
read the Silver Surfer, the Steve Englehart, Marshall Rogers Silver Surfer that turned into Ron Lim and Jim Starlin?
Yeah, she became like this.
Yeah. I don't know.
John, that's not the story. The story. Okay, all right. The story. Yeah, like I said, there's inconsistent stories, logic. So I'm not arguing. And my memory is fallible also. John, that's what the story is. Galactus lets his mortal enemies, and Galactus eats worlds to prevent them from using planets to. Yes, that was later on. That the story that I'm thinking about is earlier, and I wish I could remember it. But yes, your story came later, and I need to know why the Celestials would be bad guys for that story to make sense. I'll put your comment back up because Galactus. If this was right when I quit Marvel, this story was breaking out that Galactus specifically targets worlds that hold like a celestial seed, to prevent more Celestials. So then, but if that story's been told, I need to know why the Celestials need to be prevented. So, I'm not disagreeing with you. I do know some of that story too. The story is that Eternity used Galactus to mean balance between the Celestials and modern. So what? Like the Celestials were gonna enslave all of sentient life, So if Logic Finest, if you could point me to the issues that tell the story, if I have them, I'm gonna.
That's interesting. I'd like to look that up myself.
Yeah.
I like a good cosmic story.
Yeah, I love Marvel's cosmic stuff better than DC's cosmic stuff.
Yeah,
Marvel's cosmic stuff is like cosmic, whereas DC's cosmic stuff is like, I don't know, like weird religions. Kirby is great, but I couldn't continue reading his Eternals comics. I thought they were bad. Yeah, well, they got canceled for.
Well, I think the first half of them are really good. Like the first few issues are really good, but Kirby wasn't being treated that well at Marvel at that point, and he wasn't welcomed. And most of the people thought his stuff was out of date at that point. We're like, oh my god, like you felt that way. A lot of people felt that way. I was used to all the reprints, and it got canceled. All this stuff you ever read his Black Panther? That stuff is nuts.
The Black Panthers to the point where they kind of like, in the Christopher Priest retelling of the Black Panther, they addressed that as T'Challa had brain damage.
I read that stuff. It's fun as heck. Oh, this is great.
It's Adventure Man.
Like
you could take the Black Panther out of those stories and just put random Adventure Man in those stories. Like it had.
Yeah, well, he had his uncles or something, and they were dressed up as other Black Panthers, and
the time Solomon's time traveling brass frog. That's great.
Well, the Captain America stories aged better though.
Yeah, and then Machine Man was, this was just Kirby, just like I got an idea. I got an idea. Boom, and it to me, it's like you get to a point like Jack Nicholson. Before Jack Nicholson retired, I don't think he was making the best movies because. You're going to direct Jack Nicholson, hey Marcus, you know what I mean? And Jack Nicholson's, I'm not doing another take. Only Martin can control Jack Nicholson and get a good.
I think that was the time where Kirby was editing himself.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and then he was out in California. This happened to DC too, and they used to have inkers and stuff so that they would have a little control over what's going on. And then he got Mike Royer, and now he had control of everything, and there was nobody to tell him, hey, you got to keep this in a linear way. He didn't think that way.
Right.
And the New Gods suffer from this as well, which is better than this, but it just explodes. And like the New Gods could be its own comic. Like you, John, could make like 10 comic books out of the New Gods or 11 or 12. Each little thing is a 100-issue series that this guy made. And there was just one thing and everybody hates Stan Lee, I know, but Stan Lee kind of kept him either by the dialogue.
I don't hate Stan Lee.
I don't think they hated each other till the end. I think they got along really well for a long while. But it's like the Beatles.
But like I'm saying, you need somebody to rein him in. Perfect examples. Look at Neil Adams, like his Deadman series and his Batman series before he passed. They were all over the place.
All over the place.
You know what I mean? So you need an editor. When you're writing a comic book story, you need somebody to give you the straight poop. Like I said, Jack Nicholson, Phil Moskowitz, random director, is not going to get a good performance.
Right, exactly. And
But
then it's
Martin
not,
Scorsese will.
it's
Stan
not like
Lee-
he got Kirby.
Stan Lee was like a pencil sharpener to Jack Kirby's pencil. But anyway, so Logic Finance, I wasn't arguing, just said, yeah, no need to apologize. This is exactly what I want.
This is the comics.
This is exactly what I want. Bring up the nerdiest little detail. Bring it up. I love this stuff. According to the story, I already read that. I walked away long before that story myself. Okay, Logic. If you could find those issues, I would really like to read them. Something tells me that I have them.
Probably do.
Before I talk about Brian Suddenly Old,
We should go start Green Lantern soon.
oh yeah, we got to do Green Lantern. Well, unless you got to leave, because I got nothing now.
I don't have to go anywhere. I'm good.
I ain't going to work until October 17th. I'm not allowed to go back to work.
Oh my
October
God!
17th.
I drink coffee just for this at night. I stopped drinking coffee at night.
And
But
guys,
for this, I just drank 2 mugs of coffee.
And guys, remember, there's a link in the chat. You could pop in. You are welcome and encouraged to use that link to pop in and talk with us. Marcus and I do not bite. But before I address this,
I do bite.
I want to. He bit his cat. There was a great Beta Ray Bill series, a 4-issue series. And I have it, so it's before 2015. Beta Ray Bill wanted to defeat Galactus. And Beta Ray Bill, we all know some people argue he's more powerful than Thor. Some people say he's the twin of Thor, but whatever. He's Thor level, and we all agree that that's pretty powerful as far as superheroes go. So he concocted a scheme. The only way to defeat Galactus is to let him starve to death. So Beta Ray Bill would just focus and find out where Galactus is going, and then he would get there first and destroy the planet. And then Galactus would I was going to eat that world. And then Galactus would go someplace else. So Beta Ray Bill is like, this planet's already doomed. So he would kill it first. Just imagine you're about to eat and somebody slaps the food out of your hand. It keeps doing it until you starve to death. So Beta Ray Bill was like,
that sounds interesting. I might look that one up too.
I thought that was a brilliant take. And then boom, that story got memory hold. If anybody in the chat knows this Beta Ray Bill miniseries,
what story does it get memory hold?
Because later on they did the Annihilators. It was supposed to be a team made up of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. So
that Cosmic Powers series,
right? And they never referenced that Beta Ray Bill story. And Beta Ray Bill, what I really liked about it is in the few moments of I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, I'm destroying planets. You know what I mean? But once Galactus is dead, people will understand why I'm doing this. But right now, I'm the bad guy, and it's a perfect example of the bad guy is the hero in his own story. And to me, that's Galactus is like, they think I'm the bad guy, but I can't let them know. Like, humanity and the Skrulls and the Kree, they could go on with their life because they have no concept of what's beyond the veil. That only I'm that's my version of Galactus. But anyway, I think that Galactus is a character that nobody knew how to write good stories for anymore. Yes. Oh my God, Logic. There was a story with Galactus's daughter that
Galactus does not have a daughter.
Right. There was Galactus, and she was goofy and zany, and I'm just like, and then Galactus was defeated by Squirrel Girl, and I'm just like, you guys have no respect for these characters. No. To the point where Galactus was so powerful, even Jack and Stan had to fudge.
They didn't use Galactus all that much.
What's that?
They didn't use Galactus all that much. So they used Galactus in the Fantastic Four once, and then Stan and Jack used him to great effect in Thor and the Black Galaxy saga. And then I don't think Galactus was used again until Stan left, and Roy and John Buscemi used him. And then, of course, he wasn't used that much.
No, Galactus was one of those characters that Chuck Dixon calls an oh shit character. When Galactus shows up, you go, oh shit. They
used him, but they didn't use him. It wasn't like every year. Although I do remember when he ate the Impossible Man's plan and got indigestion.
Right. Beta Ray Bill would never do that, though. That's the complete opposite of the character. Odin even said that he's more noble than Thor. Yes. Evacuation is not an option, but Galactus doesn't eat so much the people. he eats the life force of the planet. Like, according to Galactus, a planet has life force, and this ineffable quality is what allows life to grow. You know what I mean? So it's not so much eating every scroll. He doesn't pick up the scrolls and eat them. He eats this metaphysical ability of a planet to generate life. So if you evacuate the planet, yeah, those people still live, but that life force will sustain Galactus. So the planet has to be destroyed. So I don't know. Now that I'm saying about it, Zach Dan, you're right. Get off the planet. I'm blowing up your planet. That's what Beta Ray Bill leave, because I'm blowing up your planet, because it's your planet that's going to sustain Galactus. Galactus came back for the original Secret Wars. Yep. Oh, I wanted to say this. When I was first into comics, back when I was in like 3rd and 4th grade, I remember my friend Carl. He had an older brother that was totally into comics. So he had a leg, and his older brother was like 10 years older than him. So we were going through his brother's comics, and he had, oh man, I would love to get Carl's brother's comic collection. But, so we were reading these Kirby. That's why I got the idea that Kirby was super old fashioned. But that's besides the point. But I was fascinated with Galactus, to the point when I started to get my own money, I would go out of my way just to collect Galactus appearances. This is before the internet. This is before data logs that I could just go on. So it was like legendary, like where can I find Galactus? So I would like talk to people. What issue was Galactus? And you're right, there wasn't many appearances of Galactus up until like the 80s.
Yeah, they used them a lot more.
Very sparingly. And that made him, as Chuck Dixon said, an oh shit character.
That's right.
And there was very few oh shit characters. One of them being Dr. Doom, one of them being Galactus. So Hail the Lore says, do you guys read the comic with Hulk's second son where he threatens Galactus if he destroys another planet?
I didn't even know he had a
son. I
son.
didn't even know that existed.
I knew his first son, but not his second.
I knew he had one son named Scar.
Yeah, well, Ron Garney did that, so that's why I got something.
Hero Kala. This is news to me. Who I just imagine the courage and the strength of the woman to lay with the Hulk. You could be a noble destroyer of words for a greater good in you. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I walked away. I brought up your comment and didn't address it. Did Hulk create his own lantern source from his own will, or was he tied to the lantern homeworld for his power? He was tied to as far as I know, the central
lantern homeworld. Yeah.
Right. And when we've been talking for an hour about Silver Surfer. I could talk for 10 hours about Galactus and Silver Surfer.
I found out who did that Eternals series in the 80s. I thought you were asking about.
The 12-issue series. It was
that was Peter Gillis and Sal Buscema.
That's right.
And I knew Walt Simonson finished it up.
Hulk has no kids in my lore.
Hulk has no kids. Yeah.
Galactus can defeat any Celestial one-on-one. In the Thor story, 3 Celestials fought Galactus to a standstill, attacking it. Well, that's the ninja. That's the ninja principle, right? If you got 100 ninjas, Daredevil's gonna take them out like dominoes. But you got one ninja, Daredevil's going to the hospital. So and I'm not joking. This is why I say Galactus can defeat the Watcher, because there's a race of Watchers. So by storytelling drama purposes, Galactus has to be more powerful than the Watcher. And there's who knows how many Celestials there are, 12, 100, a billion, I don't even know. So Galactus has to be more powerful than them because there's more of them. That's just my insane way of thinking. The whole for the greater good thing is a slippery road to loose morality. Yes. And that's
what those stories are about.
That's why bad guys,
not all bad guys think they're doing bad things. Right.
I like that. I'm stealing the ninja. It's not mine. It's just like a common superhero. It's a common comic book trope. If you get 100 stormtroopers, Han Solo's taking out 100 stormtroopers, and then they all split, and the one stormtrooper with the blue armor shows up. Han Solo's going to the hospital. But look at when and it works in reverse. Captain America fights Kang. It's a tough battle, but then Kang is like, oh my God, Captain America's choking me out. But then Kang fights the Avengers. He's taking out Captain America. He's taking out the Beast. Thor. He swats Thor.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a comic trope.
Yeah, it's a comic book trope. I mean, look at any bad guy attacks the Justice League. Superman is the first one to get taken out. You know what I mean?
They
in
have
a
to take out Superman. There shouldn't even be a Justice League in the DC when you think about it.
Specific beats, general for a few beats, many. Yes. It's the rule of one. I think that's the name of the trope. Chuck Dixon talks about it. The rule of one.
That's funny.
Supposedly, there's only 11 Celestials at a time. 10 who test planet. Okay, I had it in my mind that there was 12.
Yeah,
they were like biblically inspired by like the 12 tribes, and 12 is always a biblical number. But I'm not logic. Anything in it's clobbering time is just fun goofiness. Never apologize. Say what you want. Call me a name. Which is why
we don't have to have name calling.
Yes, yeah.
I think we have enough name calling on the internet. Thank
you. Absolutely. So that's why Namor could beat anybody in the Defenders. But then when one Defender shows up, but when Namor teams up with Doctor Doom, the Defenders can take out both. You know what I mean? It's the rule of one.
It's crazy.
And to exponent on this is why in 6th grade, when I was bringing comic books to school and we were all reading comic books, my friend Andy was like, I'm not interested. Why? He goes, I guess the superheroes always win. And I was like, yeah, but it's how they win.
I had arguments like that too. Why do you read these? I'd be like, well, it's a little realistic. And what are you crazy? And you couldn't break those people, like, because you were saying that Peter Parker had money problems. You had related to that, like his issues, and so it was kind of realistic compared to some other comics, but they weren't really realistic. I mean,
I'd like to find Andy today and be like, do you watch John Wick? Do you watch Star Wars? Because Luke's gonna win, John Wick's gonna win.
Well, the comics code the hero had to win due to the comics code. You knew what was going to happen.
Okay, so does everybody agree we covered Silver Surfer and Galactus? Because if you talk about Silver Surfer, you have to talk about Galactus. So let's talk about Hal Jordan now. Logic. I always enjoy Logic's comments. I'm off the drama wheel. I just want to talk comics. Absolutely. I like what I like. And I won't attack anybody else for what they're like. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fine. I agree.
I agree with you, Logic, and that's why
whatever comics you like. I don't quite understand this whole thing. If I don't know. There's a lot of comics I like.
I tell you this.
Wish I could back more.
I don't block anybody. I don't mute anybody on Twitter. I just unfollow because some people, it's like all they do is
I've unfollowed people.
And if I unfollowed you, it's maybe because
you unfollowed me. What the heck?
Did I unfollow?
No, I'm kidding. I don't even. I'm kidding. I don't think so.
No, because some people it's just this versus that, like real people, and I don't want to get involved. But anyway, Logic. Oh, I meant to bring this up. Oh yeah, Zach 10. I know Zach 10's got a pure heart. Zach 10, as I burp on camera. But anyway, full disclosure here. I don't like the Green Lantern.
I like Green Lantern, but
I'll say that outright. But I will admit that Hal Jordan, that classic Green Lantern costume, is a phenomenal costume. Hal Jordan, I like Hal Jordan more than I like Green Lantern. Something about Hal Jordan is one of those few comic characters that just comes off as cool.
They didn't understand that people, when they created Hal Jordan, they understood Hal Jordan. But he's like one of those comic characters like Captain America and Superman that currently, and even halfway through when they started really effing with him, they don't understand the heroic ideal. He was supposed to be like Chuck Yeager.
Right.
Like
he was a man's man.
This is an astronaut. That's why they created him. It's like that book by The Right Stuff. He has the right stuff.
Right.
That's what Chuck Yeager does. And they don't understand. He should never have driven a truck. He should never have sold insurance, which he did, by the way. He should have been a test pilot. That's what he does.
Right. He's the coolest guy. And also, as an aside, Reed Richards was created in 1962 when we respected scientists, and scientists were cool because we were entering.
Right, exactly. Absolutely.
So Reed Richards was a cool guy, and it wasn't until like later on this whole nerdy scientist came. As an aside, I'm reading the Todd DeFalco and Paul Ryan thing. Reed Richards just returned, so that I remember
Weird
hating
and
what they did to my boy Reed. I don't know if it's the Mandela effect, but I'm actually agreeing with the story. Like Reed Richards was held in solitary confinement for months. You don't. I like the fact that he's dealing with this, and Submariner is viciously hitting on Sue Storm, and Sue Storm is having none of it. In my memory, they were being very disrespectful for Reed, but now that I'm rereading it for the first time,
I have to look at that.
I misremembered it, so I need to apologize to the universe for everything I've ever said about this
You
run.
apologize to Tom DeFalco when you have him on.
And I even say they fixed the color. I was saying that the colors were too garish because it was the beginning of those Malibu Comics computer colors. But now it's fine. I'm really enjoying the series. But anyway, let's get back to Green Lantern. We got Logic's Finest says, I think Green Lanterns are a magic MacGuffin device, but it's a cool as a yes, and I will address that. I grew up on John Stewart Green Lantern. He's my favorite. There's a bunch of reasons why I like. I will say I like Hal Jordan, and I like John Stewart, but I still don't like the Green Lanterns, and I don't like Kyle Rayner, and I don't like him as the Green Lantern. But that's besides the point. But this is a really weird thing that I like the secret. I like the characters. I like the human beings because
I don't know. I love the idea of space cops, but one human create for that one sector 2814, and then the other guy for this sector, and you could take it out to space. Now, DC wasn't as cosmic as all that, but the fact that they had that idea at all back in when they created it was
my
kind of
coffee
amazing.
cup. You talk for a minute. I'm just gonna fill up my coffee. I feel like I need another.
Okay, so basically, like Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, we have Alan Scott. Alan Scott was in the 40s. He's not a Green Lantern from the Green Lantern Corps. He was created by Martin Odell, who created the whole Green Lantern idea, who was the same guy who created Pillsbury the Doughboy. Julius Schwartz, with John Broome and Gil Kane, recreated the Hal Jordan Green Lantern with the slick costume. Hal was a test pilot, and he was this strange ring drew him to a crash of a alien spaceship, and that was Abin Sur. And Abin Sur gave him the ring because he was fearless. He had no fear and had great willpower, and that's why he got the ring. So Hal got the ring. Most of his, I guess if you read the early ones, they're kind of quiet stories for a little while till they really expanded. I just told them about Abin.
I was listening. I can hear you. I'm just right over here. So I was listening. The only thing, one of the things I do, I like Alan Scott, and I like his concept of the Green Lantern. As you can see, I got his lantern right. Where is it? Right there. That's the Alan Scott lantern.
That's the Alan Scott lantern.
And one of the things I really like about that is, I forget his name. You mentioned his name, the creator of Alan Scott.
Martin Odell.
So Martin Odell was commuting to work, going to the New York City subway system. And back then in the 30s, they would literally have lantern men. And what they do is they would hold up a green lantern, meaning that the subway train could go, and then hold up a red lantern, meaning stop. So he saw a guy holding up a train, old commuter train, green lantern, thought it looked so cool in the darkness with the green light, and then started sketching and came up with the concept. So I don't know. Just the concept of daydreaming while on your commute to work created such a great superhero. Alan Scott is my favorite Green Lantern. Then there's something about that horrible combination of colors, the red shirt, the pants, and then the lavender cape.
There's something about that that's appealing, right?
It's so, like, the only costume that is worse, but also paradoxically better, is the original Adam, the brown hood with the yellow shirt.
It's just a short guy who boxed.
So there's something about those old original DC characters that are just so horribly bad that they're awesome. So, but I will ask this: did they ever rectify? Because once they merged the Earths, it became weird how they rectified Alice.
Well, I don't think that the Golden Age Green Lantern was ever a lantern from Oa, but I don't exactly remember what the difference was.
So if anybody in the chat could point me to the definitive story, because at one point it was a comet, and then they changed it. He hit the Alan Scott Green Lantern and Power Girl got and Donna Troy,
the Hawkman.
Oh yeah, I forgot. So now there's 4. So those are the 4 DC characters that got wrecked.
Just got wrecked
by the Crisis on Infinite Earth, and they're still reeling with it. So, how with the power of the Green Lantern homeworld that feats a note did he accomplish on his? Did he move a planet? Did he catch a bunch of nuclear weapons? Yeah, I think he did do all of those things in the Silver Age, right?
I think he did. Well, he used the Catcher's Glove an awful lot.
Someone on X. Oh yeah, Green Lantern, the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Him and the. You know what? Laugh all you want, but the Erishians need to eat too, guys, and they like crispy chicken. So,
got the retcon. Well, somebody asked who created the Logic's finest, who created Green Lantern Corps. The credit's given to John Broom and Gil Kane, but there's nothing that wasn't created without Julius Schwartz. The DC comics at the time were really editorial driven, and they would create the covers first and write around the cover.
Absolutely, yes.
Having the Green Lantern Corps was like a pretty, almost a Marvel idea, that they had. They didn't treat it that way. It was DC, but it was a pretty big idea.
Well, the Green Lantern Corps, in my opinion, and I think I read this, was inspired by a book from E.E. Smith called The Lensman.
That's right.
And they're tough reads, but they're worth it. They're worth the work.
Well, Julius Schwartz was a sci-fi agent before he was a comic editor.
And I think Julius Schwartz, believe it or not, was one of Lovecraft's agents. He was.
That's right. I think you're right.
I think he was one of Howard's agents, and I think he was E. Smith's agent, and I think he was L. Ron Hubbard's agent at one point.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
I think I could be wrong about that. So there is a connection, a direct connection between the Lensman and Green Lantern. Now, I'll give you a little bit of history of the Lensman because I don't get to talk about that. But the Lensman, I think the first book came out like the 30s, and what it is there's a race called the Arisians, and they actually made an homage to them because there's a Green Lantern called Arisia, and the Arisians are just brains. They're just gigantic, pulsating beings of intellect, and they are eternally at war with the Edoran. And there's also a Green Lantern called Edora, and the Edorans are just evil. And the Arisians are perfect brains, and the Edorans are almost like protoplasmic shapes, and they come from a galaxy outside of our time-space continuum, and they have a difficult time maintaining their form in our universe, so they operate through agents, and these agents are whatever races, and basically they're like communists. They infiltrate humanity and blah blah blah. So the Eurasians, since the beginning of human history, have been they've been selectively breeding people. We got to get this person together, this person, and they all have red hair and green eyes. So this is a long time ago, until finally they made the perfect human. And there's stories of these guys like Flash Gordon without any powers, doing space stuff. And now this guy is the perfect. I forget his name. And when he flies into space, he gets abducted by the Eurasians, and they give him a lens. And the lens gets on his wrist, and it binds to his skin, and it gives him these powers. At first he could survive in space, and it's basically telepathy. But later on, as he gets practice with it, he learns to do all of these really cool things. And one of the things he does is he starts selecting people. They fly to Arisia, and they give out lenses. And it's funny because women are not capable of bonding with the lens. Is that thunder?
Yes, it is.
Oh wow! And then until they could, the last book is called The Red Lensman. And
there's not much I could do about the thunder, guys.
Yeah, that's fine. It's kind of cool.
It is what it is.
So, and then the last book is The Red Lensman. It's where the main woman and the main they're kids. So he has 2 girls and a boy, and they become the second stage Lensmans. They become men and women, could be whatever. But anyway, and they become a space police force to fight the Edorians. The Boscone. The Edorians are the name of the evil race. The Boscone is the organization that they form. So anyway, that's the story of the Green Lanterns. So I'm not against the idea of space cops and and space forces. I think it's pretty fun. My problem is is there's 37,000 human Green Lanterns, which to me dilutes Hal Jordan. You know what I mean? Like I could see Hal Jordan gets hurt, they have a replacement Green Lantern, but it's like now there's the Asian Green Lantern, there's the bisexual Green Lantern. There's to me,
Well,
it's the same problem with Spider-Man.
Guy Gardner was supposed to be the first Green Lantern, but the ring went to him first.
Right.
But he was injured and he couldn't get the ring. They went to Hal Jordan second. That was a retcon by the original guys. So now now Guy Gardner's supposed to be the backup Green Lantern. And then in the early 70s, I think it was Neil Adams, they decided they have John Stewart replace him for that Christmas story that I remember reading when I was a kid, when Green Lantern fixed the tenements, And I don't know. I mean, and so now you have John Stewart as the backup. You have enough of those guys hanging around. Some writer or editor is going to use them. So now you have 3 Green Lanterns. Then they got rid of Hal Jordan. I don't remember. And then they began Kyle Rayner. Now you have 4. And then forget it. Now they just like, and then, they did the whole rainbow of what Ethan and Jeff Johns did.
I actually
really good. Actually,
I really like that. I really
like that. Green Lantern Rebirth is really good.
I really like that.
That was a good.
My problem with the Green Lantern is I like heroes to have limits, logical limits, and the color yellow is like such a. Because I don't think anybody's going to disagree with.
Well, that's why they got
back in the 50s. Julius Schwartz and Gardner Fox. I don't think it had any malice, but I don't think they had a high regard for their audience. I'm not saying they had a meanness or anything like that, but they were just like, it's for kids, So they would just like, okay, give me a spider eating a woman and Green Lantern's saving her. There you go, make a story. So like I don't think they really cared about continuity. They didn't really care about the story.
Up until I was reading some stuff from the 70s. And even other by Mike Barr, and the yellow is just such a kind of a pain. Oh, I'm wearing yellow. You can't fight me. That's kind of dumb. And Green Lantern again, it's one of those things that was so powerful until they brought it to the nth degree and had the whole rainbow of lanterns that you always had to get rid of his ring. Oh, it has no power. Oh, I have to punch somebody out. Oh, I can't breathe. Like you always have to get rid of the ring so that Hal Jordan can have a fight,
right?
Have a challenge.
Because he's so powerful that
it's like the Superman issue problem in the Justice League,
right?
Yeah. So a lot of the stories are like that.
I got to say, I'm reading the early Justice Leagues. I think I'm up to issue 14. The first thing that happens in every issue is somebody shoots Superman with kryptonite, and Green Lantern gets trapped in a yellow cage. So Aquaman and Batman and everybody else could save the day. That's just poor writing.
They didn't even understand. Yeah, they didn't understand how powerful the Flash was.
Right.
And the thing about, and this is getting off on the tangent, is that Superman, that was such a brilliant character because every one of his powers is a separate superpower for another hero. This guy flies. Superman flies. This Superman has super speed. Flash has super speed. Superman has power beams out of his eyes. This guy is only power beams out of his eyes. That's how brilliant Superman ended up to be. He has all the powers. That's why he's the father of all the heroes.
But I like, if I was writing Green Lantern, I would have like, oh, we're gonna fight Green Lantern. I'm gonna put on a yellow suit.
Well, they got rid of the yellow,
and then yellow suit comes out. And Hal Jordan was like, okay, I can't touch you, but I can pick up this stone and throw it at you.
Oh, Old Dirty Fatty said a weakness. The Golden Age, Alan Scott's weakness was wood,
right?
Not Hal Jordan's.
Which creates a whole new issue now that they retconned him as gay.
Then it's a really problem when Alan Scott gets up in the morning. Then, but other than that,
I don't get me. The whole retcon of Alan Scott is so wrong.
That's wrong. I ignore it. They did that years ago, though, didn't they? They didn't just do it now.
But
his son was already dead.
In the 80s. Green Lantern had 2 kids, Jade and Obsidian.
Yeah.
Todd Rice, what a horrible name. Poor Obsidian was doomed from the get-go. Todd Rice, bad costume. Drawn by Todd McFarlane, believe it or not, one of Todd McFarlane's earliest.
I wonder if he create.
I don't think so, because he debuted in the Infinity Incorporated #1.
Okay,
Todd McFarlane, I don't
was
think
later.
Till 16 or so, but
probably Jerry Ordway maybe.
But Jerry Ordway and Roy Thomas, but he had no story. He had nothing. Like as Harrison Ford says about Han Solo, he has no mommy, he has no daddy, meaning there's no story to Han Solo. But they developed Jade a lot, because let's face it, everybody likes a hot, flirty girl character wearing shorts and everything like that. But Todd,
she was flirty too.
Yes, Jenny Hayden was her name. But Todd Rice was purposely the foil. He was the introvert to her extrovert, so they never gave him a story. And Roy Thomas had him go out on dates, and he was awkward on the dates. So I think Mark Alendro, I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong, in the Manhunter series of the 90s, she was having that. I really enjoyed that comic. I don't know if you've read that comic, but she, in her civilian identity, is having a barbecue, and Todd shows up with his boyfriend. No fanfare, no angels.
That's how they used to do it in the 80s.
And he just showed up, and she goes like this. Oh, like she was stunned. You know what I mean? And the world didn't end, and nobody cared. And at the time, I was just like, okay, kind of makes sense, because they made him awkward. They made him shy. They made him uncomfortable in his own skin. And they could have just had it like, okay, so he, because he had an abusive dad. You know what I mean? They could have went, but that's the way they went. But it didn't break the character. They bent it a little bit, and the world didn't end. And it wasn't until North Star came out as gay at Marvel that DC was like, hey, we've had a gay character for years. You know what I mean? That's how under the radar and accepted.
That's another Byrne construct. They made a big deal. They came out, and Byrne said, well, North Star was always gay. Couldn't you guys read that into that?
Right. It was funny.
And if you go back to read Alpha Flight, like, yeah, that makes sense.
He was gay he was gay with his older ski instructor. It was obvious.
Right. He just didn't make it super obvious. That's all.
Right. There was a little bit of subtlety, but to the point where DC had to blow its own horn because it was accepted. Nobody cared and whatever. So then I thought it was just so bizarre that DC retconned their first openly gay, openly accepted character out of existence. To make, so they literally destroyed history to annoy people, or to get back at the chuds, or realistically,
am I a chud?
They wanted a bigger score. Obsidian wasn't a good enough score.
No, he wasn't a big enough character. You know
what I mean?
A guy part of Infinity Inc. and
So so there we go. And to me, that shows me that DC is not serious about their characters if they'll do that. Also, you notice that all Green Lanterns come from the U.S. No Green Lanterns from France, Russia, India, Tarzana. There's one Andorran Green Lantern.
Well, the idea of Green Lantern. Well, they have Jessica Cruz.
Yeah, but she's Mexican American.
Yeah, well, the idea of Green Lantern was Green Lantern was the space cop for Sector 2814, the whole galaxy where Earth was. He doesn't have to be from Earth. Abin Sur from another planet was the Green Lantern for 2814.
So think of Oa.
Jordan.
Oa, the world where the power battery is, where the Guardians live. Think of that as the dot in a circle. And
the ever-annoying Guardians
is a little triangular slice. So there's 3,600 sectors that radiate from Oa. So like Marcus says, you don't have to be an Earth guy. But how come this sector? Because I was told, as my voice cracks because I just hit puberty, I was told that there's only 3,600 Green Lanterns, one for each.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So if there's so many from 2885, what's our sector?
2814.
Where are so that means there's like 13 sectors without a Green Lantern.
Well, there's one sector where the planet's a Green Lantern.
Right. That Mogo, right?
Mogo, yeah. But the thing with Green Lantern is that eventually Dave Gibbons made his American debut at Green Lantern. So then you have Alan Moore doing some all this stuff, backup Green Lantern stories.
Those were good stories.
Green Lantern had some good stories. I was trying to read some of that. I just don't have time to read it.
Alan Moore created Mogo.
That's right.
He created a Green Lantern that's a virus. And I remember one of my friends was like, Alan Moore's making fun of the Green Lanterns. I'm like, no, he's being creative. You know, not all life forms look like Earthlings. You know what I mean? I thought that was pretty clever. And then Alan Moore created the Daxamite Green Lantern. So he has all the powers of Superman and Green Lantern.
Well, that makes sense.
That is awesome. You know,
I don't even know what to do with Green Lantern now.
Yeah, they want the scalp hunting. That's why they got rid of Todd Rice Obsidian and replaced Todd. That wasn't a good enough trophy. It wasn't a good enough trophy. You know what I mean? They don't want to claim Calvin Coolidge. They want to claim Abraham Lincoln. You know what I mean? That's
yeah, they are trying to claim Abraham Lincoln. That's
what's
true.
the Green Lantern emergency number? OA. So anyway, we talked about the kind of the history of Green Lantern. Again, I'm at a loss. How did DC rectify Alan Scott with Oa and the Guardians? If anybody knows the story that he's directing to, I would love that. But what could Green Lantern do? What is his powers? Do you want to talk that, Marcus, or do you want me to talk that?
You can talk about. I'm going to see if. So it says Alan Scott was created by Bill Finger and Martin Nodell.
Oh, Bill Finger! I didn't know that.
Yeah, Nodell was inspired by Aladdin, and just like what you said,
yeah,
and all the Greek and Norse, Middle Eastern myths, and now he's ruined. So there's that.
And this is petty, and I totally admit this. It drives me crazy that Green Lantern is known for his ring. Green Lantern should be carrying a lantern. So you better believe in Heroic Tales, if I have a Green Lantern analog, he will be carrying a lantern, not a stupid ring. Like I'm green. Can you imagine? My name is the Purple Spear, but all my power comes from my helmet. You know. But anyway, so what can Green Lantern do? Well, obviously, he has this ring that he charges to these lantern things, and it lasts for 24 hours. Oh, I made a mistake. This is the Hal Jordan lantern. This is the Green Lantern. I mean, the Alan Scott lantern. But he charges the ring. He says an oath that I can't recite. People get a freaky. You're a comic book guy, you can't recite the oath? I never liked Green Lantern. So he recites the oath. He gets 24 hours of power. So that's his two weaknesses. He needs to recharge his ring, and then the ring has it. The lantern has an impurity, so it won't work against the color yellow. That's goofy. So you could pee on Green Lantern and kill him. But what could he do with the ring? Well, obviously he could fly. Obviously he could protect himself in space. Obviously he could make constructs. But he can do whatever he wants. It's the plot power ring. Does he need to see through walls? He can see through walls. Does he need to pass through walls like a ghost? He passes through walls like a ghost. Does he need to teleport? Does he need to time travel? Does he need to make a construct to put himself in it and become as big as the planet and throw worlds? He could do that too. You know what I mean? So I have a problem with Green Lantern.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like one of your characters. No,
it's not defined. Like, to me, the Spectre could do anything, because first off, he's not like a regular character. You know what I mean? Like, he's not in a monthly comic. To translate this in a different way, like when I play my role-playing games, we all have superhero powers. My friend Paul very rarely plays with us anymore. He came up with the concept called the Olympian. He told me about it on the phone. I wrote up the Olympian. What does the Olympian do? He transforms into different Greek gods, but he can't turn into Zeus until he's done all 12. So he can't just be. Let me finish this.
No, I'm sorry.
He's the Olympian god. So, okay. Oh, I need the power of Apollo right now. So he turns into Apollo. He can't turn back into Zeus. Long story short, he's super powerful. And when Paul plays the Olympian, the other characters might as well not play. But Paul plays once every 6 months. So I let him have a powerful character. Green Lantern is all powerful, but he's in every issue of every comic. He has every. So to me, there should be a limitation. The Spectre shows up once every couple of years. Galactus doesn't show up so he's allowed to be, super powerful. There's a scarcity to power ratio that must be expected.
That makes complete what I was going to say, and what you were saying. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
But it made complete sense because you put how you feel about all these hours, because you have to have limits to your role playing game, because you can't have some. I'm going to come and join John's role playing game. I'm going to stride in and I'm going to have the most powerful character ever and win the game, and the whole thing is over in 45 minutes. And that's not how role playing games work. You have to have limitations, and everything makes sense now. That's just how I felt.
So Zach Ted is listing some of the powers I may have forgotten: energy constructs, force field, space travel, super speed. Yeah, the ability to. This is a forgotten power that, again, because of my role playing games, superheroes who could travel at hyperflight, they never used it, because unless they had some sort of sense, they would hyperflight into space and die, because they would never find the Earth again. You know what I mean? So that was like, oh, I could fly in space. Oh, that's a waste of power. I'm never going to use. So Green Lantern, not only could he fly at hyper speeds, like he could fly to Tatooine in the space of a comic book, but he could find his way back through infinite space. So the ring also gives him, and it makes sense.
The ring won't let him die.
Right? The ring won't. If he's
unless it's in battle, he's not going. The ring's not going to let him die of like not having enough oxygen or something.
Right. The ring. That is true.
I've
seen it where Hal Jordan was knocked out. And the ring made like a cocoon and brought him to safety.
That's the other limitation is a 24-hour.
Right.
Which Kyle Rayner didn't have, and Kyle Rayner didn't have yellow either.
Right. He was the first one to be like all powerful.
And the interesting thing, it's all the Green Lantern's limited by the user's imagination.
Correct.
So
we'll talk about that when we talk about the individual Green Lanterns, but I really do like that. John Saw says last Green Lantern. The collection by EVS is awesome. Awesome. Yeah. The Jeff Johns.
It's good. I got to read more. It's good.
I say it right? Jeff Johns and EVS, the whole Green Lantern Rebirth, and then I forget what it was called when they became like the Rainbow Corps. That was excellent.
That was created by EVS, even though he didn't draw it. He was drawing other things. Ivan Rice drew it, but he created the with Jeff Johns all the different.
And that to me,
brilliant.
It breathed in a new life for the Green Lanterns. To me, they were getting kind of stale. And yes, join the panel. Join the panel.
Did.
There's a color spectrum of lanterns blue. It's funny because now that there's a color spectrum, the only thing is like it's not an emotional spectrum. Will is not an emotion. You know what I mean? So they could have had a different name for it, but that's me being nitpicky. Alan had. Oh, I didn't know that. Zakan, if you follow me on Twitter, could you send me a direct message or something? Because I'll forget to look.
Speaking, I was looking.
Aladdin had a ring. I never read the Aladdin story. This is now I got to read the Aladdin story. Thank you. I didn't know that.
You were talking about Alan Scott. Well, first they were stuck in the last days of Justice Society, which I did read. They were stuck out of continuity. All the Justice Society guys back, but they brought them back, and they made Alan Scott as a veteran of World War II with the ring prolonging his lifespan.
Right.
And then they changed him to Sentinel, and then it gets so confusing I can't read any more about it.
And then when he was Sentinel,
but basically they just made him, instead of, and then they brought back Earth 2, and then because DC kept one thing Marvel didn't do is they didn't do whole cloth reborns like DC did. DC's made their continuity so confusing.
Right. I need to address this because for two reasons. It's a super chat, and that's just the way it is.
More super chats for John.
New Zealand $2. I think that translates after it gets converted to American money. It basically turns into second breakfast. I think it from New Zealand. It turns into like sausages and half, which are greatly appreciated. I'm saying that because our TNZ is from New Zealand, and if you didn't see, check out. He was on Comic Great 3 last night where we talked about the Elementals. Guy, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on, and we're probably going to do a little bit more Elementals talking about that because that's an important comic that people don't know about. And he says Surfer wins. I love Green Lantern, but he's just we didn't get to that part yet. I'm not rushing it today because I last Friday I had the closeout party.
The Elementals was kind of memory hold. I'm not sure why.
I know because of the legal problems. We'll talk about that if
let's give it back to Willingham.
Check out, Heroic Tales is on Kickstarter for only 4 more days, and then I'm hoping that next Friday I could launch my.
I backed the Michael T. Gilbert cover, and so should you.
I don't want to. Well, Marcus could say that. I don't want to say
I'm
that.
going to say that. I
Marcus
said I
could,
got
and
it
I
back a
thank
month
Marcus
ago.
for saying it.
He's
The
not
Spectre,
asking a lot of money for this comic for his variant covers, so he can afford to
that
back.
was, that was the expensive one. The Michael T. Gilbert one was the expensive one. The Spectre is an ancient. Well, they're all expensive, but that was the most expensive. The
More
Spectre,
expensive than Pat Broderick?
yeah. The Spectre is an ancient force of vengeance. Green Lantern is confident while the Silver Surfer is conflicted. Yep. I like this strange Green Lanterns. I don't mind gay Green Lantern. I just like red. Yes. Yeah. Make up new character. Like, that's why we didn't have a problem with Obsidian being gay. He had no story. They filled in a story. They didn't change a story. So 24 hours of Ultimate Will versus Unlimited. Yep. You're anticipating where we're going.
Pat Broderick, true Green Lantern.
Alan Scott was it pushes the gay narrative. We were always here. Yes, yes, yes. Even though he wasn't always there because he was married. He was married to the original Harley Quinn and had children. Saruman of Many Colors ring. There you go. That's did they do that? Did they have a Green Lantern that embodies every ring and make him just the Rainbow Lantern and he goes to pride parades and wears assless pants? Yes. See, I didn't know this. How did I not know this? Everybody else knows this. But I don't claim.
No, I didn't know it either. If it makes you feel any better, I thought Aladdin just had a lamp.
Yeah, me too. Silver was a regular mortal before Galactus made him a herald. Absolutely. I see the battle between Hal and the Silver Surfer being a long conversation between the two where the Silver Surfer breaks. Yeah, why? Finally, Hal is just like, forget it. You win. I'm leaving. All you're doing is complaining. Oh, my God.
Whining. Jeez.
So let's talk a little bit about let's see. Okay, so who had better stories? So we talked about Green Lantern's character and his powers. We talked about Silver Surfers, powers and stories. Who powers and character? Who had a better story? Can anybody chime in? Right away, I'm going to say the sacrifice of Nor and Rad giving up paradise and the woman that he loves to protect his planet. I've said before that that Silver Surfer is the continuing adventures of Cosmic Jesus. You know, he's a guy that like sacrificed his life to work for this.
The problem with Surfer's stories is that nobody was allowed to write the Surfer except for Stan Lee. He was always supposed to come back and write more Silver Surfer. And so we got the 18 or 19 issues of the Silver Surfer get canceled. Then he's into Defenders on a limited basis, and he's a guest star in the Fantastic Four a couple of times. Roy and Rich Buckler brought him back. And then finally, he let Englehart write that Silver Surfer series in the 80s. But over that, there's not that many Silver Surfer stories.
So,
whereas Green Lantern was
Kirby made him a whole cloth, right? That's like one of the things Kirby just.
Yeah, Kirby was bitter that Stanley took.
To the point where, like you said, when he got the pages, he was like, "Who's this character? That's his herald, a guy this powerful." But then, like you said, Stan Lee fell in love with the character, and he said that the Silver Surfer, in a way, was like his mouthpiece for things that he believed, like love and
well,
so
that hippie stuff.
Yeah, he took the Silver Surfer as like a very personal character to himself. But I didn't know that he personally like.
Yeah, he did. That's why there was no Surfer comics. They didn't bring him back because Stan Lee it was very few times you're allowed to use him. And you had to add, and Stan Lee, even though he was editor in California in the 70s, was there at Marvel an awful lot. And they did have to answer it to him.
Right. And you don't want to be the guy singled out by Stan Lee. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right, exactly. And not that he was bad to work for. That wasn't the issue. Is that was his character. So nobody else was writing it. So they didn't give it back to – he did that one graphic novel before there were graphic novels was with Jack Kirby. Which
that was the Simon & Schuster book.
Yeah, that was out of continuity.
That one confused me as a kid because back then there was no out of continuity.
That was a fun book, though. Yeah, no, it was out of – yeah, that was a separate book.
So let's talk about – so we all agree that – well, do we all agree that the greatest Silver Surfer story is basically his origin? You know, his
origin. Yeah, well, I think that Infinity Gauntlet. Well, they brought back Thanos. Starlin brought back Thanos during Silver Surfer, and it was later. That was a long run of comics. That Silver Surfer was almost 200 issues.
Hey, Matt's here. And Matt, if you want to pop in, we're talking Green Lantern versus Silver Surfer. You pop in. Green Lantern probably had more story. Yeah, well, Green Lantern.
He was a monthly book for years.
It was a monthly book a decade before the
we
Silver
didn't even
Surfer
talk
show.
about the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams.
All right, so let's talk about Green Lantern. So we all, his origin story is awesome. His first appearance is awesome. I really like when Mephisto tried to tempt him.
Those are his best stories, yeah.
What was that? That was Silver Surfer number 2 or 3. I forget exactly which one.
Yeah.
And then there was Silver Surfer 4 with that Thor versus Silver Surfer.
One of the great comics of all time.
Oh, great cover. And the sad story that I tell about that story is John Buscema was given that comic from issue number 1, and it was a double-sized comic. And John Buscema was like, this is going to be my thing. This is what I'm going to be remembered for. And he poured his heart and soul into that comic. And then when he brought the pages for number 4 to Stan Lee looks at the pages and goes, this doesn't look like Kirby. And Buscema just went like, okay. And they said that his fire was diminished. He never phoned it in, but he kind of lowered he put his shields up. You know what I mean? After
he went back to doing it in a 6-panel grid. That he was playing with the storytelling and opening the panels up a little more. The saddest part was years later, John Buscema went back in the office of Stan Lee and Stan Lee goes, you know what was the best comic you ever did? That Silver Surfer number 4.
Yeah.
And John
was like, all I wanted was an attaboy. He didn't want a car. He didn't want to stay.
And he got it years later.
He wanted an attaboy. You know what I mean? So those of you who have or foremen or managers or bosses, give your employees an attaboy. I say this at work all the time. I'm a construction worker. The men don't want much. The men don't want. We want to be paid on time, and we want to keep working. We don't want to be laid off. But once in a while, like, hey, John, you're doing good. Marcus, that was good. You're doing good. That's it. An attaboy. An attaboy goes so long. And that's all. That's all.
He may have just caught Stan on a bad day.
Yeah, but you look at that, guys. If you have access to Silver Surfer number 4, that great cover of Silver Surfer and Thor, that's been homaged and copied. Check it out. It really is a work of art. And RR. Oh man, 3rd breakfast and 4th breakfast and 5th breakfast all rolled into one. Thank you so much. I get embarrassed when people super chat. Not that I'm discouraging you from doing it. I don't other channels have like animations and explosions. I gotta up my game. In the Galactus vs. Darkseid crossover, which was excellent by the way, the Silver crushed Orion pretty easily. Orion, as such, Silver Surfer could crush Green Lantern. A fair fight is a Silver Surfer versus platoon of Green Lantern Corps. Go back to work now. Cheers. All right, so this is I was trying to make a joke and I realized it didn't make sense. I'd say the Silver Surfer greatest story is the Infinity Gauntlet. I can't argue with that. I love his origin. To me, that's my favorite, but that's just me. But Infinity Gauntlet's a good one. I also really like when he figured out how to break the barrier. He went without his surfboard.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was so clever. The Silver Surfer and his surfboard are one, and like the barrier didn't recognize him when he went without the board. That was pretty clever. I like that. I like the Silver Surfer comic when they did the Elders of the Universe. That was a good one.
That's the Marshall Rogers run. Yeah.
Could Green Lantern immobilize this? We're not up to the fight yet. Hold that thought. Matt Barrett says, hey, Marcus. Marcus, one of these days we'll be talking about the Patriarch versus the Soaring Eagle. Be ready. Patriarch's going to kick his ass, by the way. Positive feedback is pretty good just to know I'm doing. Yep. Yes. Positive feedback. Cosmic Power versus Green Lantern. Silver Surfer doesn't have to recharge. Imagine if the Surfer and Nova could have a kid, how powerful it would. I thought you meant Richard Rider. I was like, don't tempt them. That's what they'll do. In the modern.
Galactus was in love with Nova. Remember that one?
Or no, Nova was in love with Galactus. Galactus was having none of that. Does anybody remember which issue Frankie Ray left Galactus? I don't have that issue.
I don't remember either. I remember when she went to Galactus.
Right. She went with Galactus she went because of Cosmic R. She wanted to see and explore, and later she fell in love. Okay, yeah, let's address this for a second. I was going to bring this up. Thank you for reminding me. Silver Surfer, the Norrin Rad, became the Herald out of love for his planet and for a desire to explore. The second Airwalker, I don't remember why he became
I
a
thought
Herald.
he was a robot.
He was killed and then he built a robot.
Okay.
Fire
He
Lord,
was a good looking character.
if I remember correctly, Fire Lord just wanted power. And then
That's another great looking character.
Yeah, Terex the Tamer.
Oh, he was evil.
He was conscripted, and he was a petty tyrant who just wanted to be a bully.
That's a burn character. Yeah, all these are greatly designed characters.
And then Frankie Ray, she did it out of like she wanted to see the universe, and then later on fell in love with Galactus. But I think she left because she realized, she was pursuing just another guy that would never return her emotions. It's actually too realistic of a story. I met girls that were dating guys that just paid them no attention. When Brian suddenly old, the animated surf was great art, but they reused a lot of the same scenes over and over again. It got on my nerve. Yeah, John Byrne, he didn't create Frankie Ray. He brought her back, and then, as far as I'm concerned, used her to her potential. J-Bot, hey J-Bot, hey fellas, if you're going to tell a new reader to read one Silver Surfer story, which one would it be? Good question. Obvious for me, it would have to be Fantastic Four, 48, 49, 50, or is it 40? Whatever.
Well,
to me, that's the best way to get introduced to the Silver Surfer.
That's right. Or you could read that one shot by Byrne and Stan Lee. Remember that one Silver Surfer one shot, and Tom Palmer inked it.
Yep,
that was a big time comic.
Yeah, that
autographed by John Byrne.
It's funny because it's almost not even a John Byrne comic. When Tom Palmer, you become a Tom
Palmer does a book. They don't do full pencils. They just do breakdowns.
Notice that there's an ever-growing list of former Galactic. Yeah, now there's like Red Shift, and then there's like a Snake guy. I lost track. Battle of the Herald storyline was great, and joined the panel. Okay, so I'm all caught up. So, let's talk about. We talked about Silver Surfer forever. Let's talk about what are some great Green Lantern stories. We
brought some up. Rebirth. The Black Lanterns were brought up with the zombies. Right. Zombie Lanterns was brought about the rainbow of colors.
That was really good.
I think that Green Lantern in the 60s was they had, when they brought back Alan Scott, had them fight. That Andy Smith's been posting those 60s covers. It's a consistently good comic, especially after the first year. They're a little quiet in the first year.
I forgot about this. Thank you for bringing it up, Israel.
Yeah, I had that book.
That was interesting too. I think, if memory serves, this was my introduction to Mobius, and then I became fascinated with Mobius. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, everybody likes the Infinity Gauntlet. Yep. But I'm trying to think. I mean, for me, Green Lantern, I don't know the character until Crisis on Infinite Earth. I can't talk about 50s or 60s.
I think it's just a solid, cosmic story through the 80s. Steve Englehart, Joe Staton, and he turned it to Green Lantern Corps. He fell in love with an underage girl. That wasn't a good idea.
That was Aricia.
Yeah, that was Riza. I bought it then too. I don't remember them big giant things happening, but it was just solid comics every month.
Right. It was
from
good
those creators. And then they decided to make Hal Jordan a drunk.
Yeah.
In that miniseries. And then he was Parallax, and then Kyle Rayner.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to say, we can't forget.
And I didn't read much of the Kyle Rayner. I can't speak on that run too much.
I didn't really read that. Everybody's got to remember when he became Parallax and destroyed Coast City. And, to me, that's a tarnish on the character that I still can't get over.
I'm not sure the character has gotten over it.
I also have to bring up the hard traveling heroes.
That's legendary. Whether you like it or not, or think it didn't live, or it's too woke, every time, whatever. That's still something that's.
Or she's space legal. Yeah, I have to address it. Aricia, she was 14 years old and whatever, but then they retconned it that she was 14 Arician years old, and an Arician year is 3 years. So she was really
she was drawn like a really young girl.
Yeah, so they
What?
And she was the homage to the lensman because the Eurasians were the giant brain creatures that created the lens. The hard traveling heroes, it's almost like I am compelled by inner demons to say that I get so mad when Green Lantern gets lectured by that old guy in Harlem, the old black guy. You're saving the blue skins and you're saving the green skins. What are you doing for the brown skins? And then Green Lantern, Hal Jordan mopes away. If I had wrote that scene, I'd be like, listen, you little piece of shit. What did I do? I saved your planet from sun eaters. I saved your planet from aliens so evil and disgusting that you have no conscience. You're alive right now, drinking pooch out of a paper bag because I risked my life. So say thank you and get out of my face. But I didn't write that comic. Obviously. So anybody, we got a bunch of people watching. Any Green Lantern stories that should be mentioned that we're not talking about? Because we talked about his powers, we talked about his character, we talked about stories. And so I think we're up to the point now. Who's a better character? We're not talking about the fight yet. We're just talking about a character.
We could talk about Burns' Ganthet's Tale. Do you remember that? We talk about John Burns touching these characters. He did that one graphic novel, Ganthet's Tale. That was really good.
Oh, wow. Did I read that?
I definitely read that. I have a lot of the graphic novels I still have.
Is that a John Burns story that I don't have?
That's a John Burns story. Yeah, I just reminding of that. Ganthet's Tale, 1992.
I don't know. I got to look to see if I have that. I was going to look at my database, but it's probably not scanned in because if it's graphic novel, they're upstairs. But anyway, Eddie, what do you guys think? Who is the better character? Like I'm talking like just influenced the zeitgeist. Who is we could all agree that Superman is a better character than Richard Rider Nova because of like the cultural impact and everything. So who do you think? The storyline when Hal Jordan put together New Green Lantern because he recruited various students. Yes, he created rings out of his ring and gave them out to new people. And I again, this is just me being a nutcase, but I don't like that there's so many Green Lanterns in our sector. It implies that there's sectors without Green Lantern. Like, okay, Jessica Cruz, you're now the Green Lantern. You got to go fly over here and never come back to the Earth because this is the area that you're patrolling. You know what I mean? Goodbye, Jessica Cruz.
There's a lot of Green Lanterns.
Yeah, and there's too many
human Green Lanterns. They can be a lot of Green Lanterns if they're different races, different alien races.
Yeah, I like that big chicken one, and I like the one that looks like a circle, the diamond one.
Chicken one.
Hal is the better character. The Surfer is a mope. Yeah, those are the hard traveling heroes when he teamed up.
Well, he teamed up after they canceled that and they brought them back.
Right.
And they had good stories, but nothing earth shattering,
I'm glad you brought that up because everybody talks about comics were always political. Yes, the hard traveling heroes written by Denny O'Neil, drawn by Neil Adams. It was Green Lantern was the conservative, Hal Jordan was the liberal, and they bantered, went on travel with Ganthet, an all-powerful being in the backseat of their car. But it failed.
In the backseat of their car.
The sales went down to the canceled and then redid the status quo. In retrospect, we're like, oh, it was great. But at the time, people didn't want it.
Neil Adams disputes that it didn't sell.
Wow. Well, Neil Adams also has his head inflates like the leader when he talks about himself. Green Lantern, probably more well-known. People talk about Lantern Corps where they would be in. You're leaving me hanging. So, what do you guys think? I like Silver Surfer better. I make no bones about it. But the Green Lantern, like growing up, people seem to know Green Lantern more than they knew Silver Surfer.
Well, in the regular life, you have Green Lantern was part of the rotation of comic heroes in the Filmation. They had Green Lantern. They Green Lantern in Super Friends. They Green Lantern and all the other Bruce Timm Justice Leagues. A Green Lantern, if not the Green Lantern. Hal Jordan got a movie as bad as it was. He still got a big time movie.
Yeah.
So people know the Silver Surfer was in.
Well, wasn't that movie retcon? Didn't Deadpool shoot?
Right out of existence. But my dad liked that movie. Silver Surfer.
If I could talk about that
He had a
movie,
good
for a second,
cartoon.
that movie was 3 movies squished into 1 movie. The first
Oh, yeah,
movie
it was
should have been
big
him
fun.
getting the Green Lantern and fighting the brain
Hector
guy,
Hammond, yeah.
Hector Hammond. The second movie should have been him finding out about the Green Lantern Corps with Kilowog, and then the third movie should have been Parallax. To me, that movie bombed because they're too quick, not enough time to develop, and I don't think the studio had faith in it. But
No, well, I think that's all true.
comics always address politics, absolutely, but those writers used allegory. And I'll also add in, if I could take like a little wedge and stick a word in your sentence, skill and talent. I said 1 word, but I snuck in 2. Something these social justice ideologues can't do because they aren't writers, they're activists. Yes, because they're back to your comment, because they're first and foremost, they wanted to entertain. Everything else was secondary. These days it's backwards. First and foremost, they want to be an activist using characters. They got it ass backwards, as my father used to say. John, you got it ass backwards. That's when I knew a beating was coming. Also, comics would only address politics sparingly and used allegory and skill, and they used entertainment, and then they're like, you know what? Let's put a little bit of social message in here, but first we need to be
There's a
entertaining.
little more respect too.
And respect. Good word. It doesn't take much to beat Green Lantern if you have enough strength. Silver Surfer isn't losing specifically because Green Lantern isn't strong enough to separate him from his board. I like Green Lantern, but Surfer wins with his ability to break a reader's will to read. There is. I'm trying to think. Norrin Rad Silver Surfer is the biggest crybaby in all of comics.
Well,
He's on his knees on a surfboard,
When he had regular adventures, Steve Englehart did try to change that.
Yeah.
But if you go to the fight, one of the issues is forget all the extra powers. Silver Surfer has 100 power strength. He could take on the Hulk. Green Lantern isn't that strong, and he can augment his physical strength with his power cosmic.
Right.
If you think the Green Lantern ring does anything, try this power cosmic. It does everything but bring back the dead.
To me, Green Lantern Hal Jordan is a very bland character. I always like Guy Gardner as a Green Lantern better. I tend to agree with you. Like if you read some of I do have a few issues of like early of 60s Green Lantern. Like I said, comics kind of just show up in my house every once in a while. And if you read them, you could just swap out Green Lantern or Hal Jordan for Arthur Curry, for Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, they're all the same.
They're all the same person.
They're all the same.
Superhero guy. And so there's no argument there. And then I'll say it wasn't until like the 70s or maybe late 60s, as whether they wanted to or not, maybe you're subconscious, they started to respond to Marvel Comics because there was nobody would argue that Reed Richards and Peter Parker were the same person. Nobody would argue that Bruce Banner and Donald Blake were the same person.
They didn't start that until the late 60s in the Justice League when Denny O'Neil wrote the Justice League.
Right. So they started, so yeah, Hal Jordan was bland almost by design.
Yeah. That's when they brought Hawkman being the right wing and arguing with Green Arrow in the Justice League. And they started bringing Edge then, and they didn't even get into the regular comics for a while. I don't know if I ever got into Superman.
Dan Slott's Silver Surfer was excellent with Mark Allred doing the
Mark Allred is good, yeah.
Like Dan Slott is a jerk, but Dan Slott can write when he gets off the video games and actually does
what he wants to.
Eating a Twinkie playing Minecraft.
I haven't had a Twinkie in a long time.
I love Twinkies. Talented writers know how to use allegory, and you don't even know it's right. I'll also say Marvel, the Steve Englehart Captain America that they always talk about. Captain America got this. Those didn't sell well either. They got rid of him and brought in Jack Kirby to revitalize the Captain America story. Like literally after the Richard Nixon kills himself story. That
was a good story though.
Yeah, it is a good story, but it didn't sell to the point they brought in Jack Kirby.
I think it did sell. I think when they put Frank Robbins on it, it stopped selling.
Silver Surfer sucked out the gamma from the Hulk return. Yep. That's why I like the Elementals. Everybody in Marvel seemed to say, yep. Elementals was a watershed in comic book history, and I absolutely mean that. Check out my Heroic Tales on Kickstarter. 4 more days. the Kickstarter will end. And I just got the Mike Gustovich cover colored, so Nick Axe is doing the cover dress for it, and I'll show that pretty soon.
Where is Nick Axe?
Oh, he is drawing Crom the Destroyer for RJ, and he gets himself focused. You know, like I'll message.
What happened to Crom? Speaking of Crom,
I don't know. Well, Crom got another job that's taking up a lot of his time.
I see.
It's not my details to.
No, that's okay. I just don't want.
But he's doing really well, and he's super focused on a really good job. So that, and I think that's taking up all of his time right now.
That's cool.
Nothing bad. Crom is doing absolutely well.
Good. I worry.
So let's talk about the fight. Everybody, 2 hours. Bing, ding, 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 ding. We'll do the scenario that I always like to do. Like the Beyonder just throws. Hal Jordan is fully charged, so we're not going to do any of this. He runs out of charge. So, and they got their typical powers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure somebody could say there was an issue where the Silver Surfer had a laser gun in his hand. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the typical standard powers. So Silver Surfer is flying. He gets compelled. He goes through a warp. And now that he's in space, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, whatever, he gets through a warp, and now they're fighting it out. What do we think? I'll be quiet for a little bit. Isn't Crom Conan's god? Yes, but there's also a guy called Crom who used to be a frequent visitor on my channel. He did a YouTube channel talking about marketing and things like that, but then he got a really, really good job that he's like, okay, I'm going to deal with this. Maybe he'll come back when he gets everything, you know what I mean? But he's trying to do a good job at his job, and I'm sure he'll do a good job. Surfer wins, Power Cosmic can do anything, but the Green Lantern ring could almost do anything too. And Mike's Total Dungeon, what is this? Mike's Total Dragon channel? Cool, new name. Good to see you. Good to see you. So what is this Logic Finest? New Genesis versus Apocalypse Creep. Oh, he's already. He's on
next.
Oh, I see what he's doing. He's talking about politics and planes. I thought he was talking about next week. Kree versus Skrulls, Eternals versus Deviants, X-Men versus Magneto. It's all politics. Fascism versus democracy. Allegory hides in politics and plain sight. Yes. And I will say that the allegory of the X-Men, they work best when they're the other. And the other is for you to decide. You know what I mean? Not when Marvel tells me what the allegory is. Like, because let's face it, every little kid, and I don't care if you're well-adjusted, I don't care if you're a misfit, at some point in your life, every little kid feels like the outsider. Every little kid feels like the other, for whatever reason. Hormones, they had a bad day or whatever, and the X-Men represent them at that particular moment, you know, for whatever reason. And to take that ambiguousness away from the X-Men diminishes the X-Men. Logic Finest says the Shah Kree are both colonial powers use slavery again. The allegory hid it in plain sight. Yep. Anybody want to join in to talk us through how the fight would go? That would be fun to have a couple of people tell us. Oh, I scared Marcus away.
I'm still here. I have to just help the cat out.
If the Fantastic Four could beat the Surfer, I think Green Lantern could beat him. Hal has a 24-hour power. The Silver Power. Yes. So for this is a good one. The Kree versus the Skrulls. That is a really good one. Thank you, Zach. That says I'm right about the X-Men. So anybody want to pop in and tell us how their fight would be? You know, in the Green Lantern versus Silver Surfer. So Marcus is battling a cat right now. He's going to come back with scratches of blood all over his face.
No, I'm just giving him he was looking at these scratch pads that they don't use. Maybe he wants to use them. I don't know. Galactus
is a bigger power source than the Guardians and the power batteries. So Surfer would, is Surfer still attached to Galactus? No,
Surfer doesn't draw power from Galactus. He just has power cosmic, part of Galactus.
He has access to the power cosmic. You know, and what is the power cosmic? It's this ineffable power that we don't know. Most Green Lanterns are former military. Yep. Whereas, Norrin Radd is former pacifist. So
I was going to say that. Forward pass.
Right. Since no, so they meet. We're talking comic book logic, so they're compelled to fight. Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. I think Hal Jordan is the more cocky, the more impulsive character. So he probably launches an attack first. Silver Surfer is more introspective and like, hey. Silver Surfer would probably block it, everything. And next thing, Silver Surfer would be like, oh, this isn't just some random, goofball. I do think Green Lantern is a higher level superhero. Like Green Lantern is like a Thor level. Can we at least agree on that? Like I think Thor would have a rough time fighting Green Lantern. Green Lantern gets word about a planet-destroying being is tasked with arresting. Oh, how did I not think of this scenario? Okay, so scratch that. Now we have a logic story reason for him to fight. Green Lantern, he gets word he finds a refugee from a destroyed planet. He's outraged and he's going tracking down the Silver Surfer. Excellent, Hal. How did I miss that? The story writes itself. He easily tracked down the Surfer, but finds out this guy is not more than okay. All right, he used one. Yeah, that's what I always thought that Galactus converts like life force into the power cosmic, and then whatever. Like, who knows? It's one of those ineffable things. So I like this is a great scenario. Did you see this, Marcus?
I just saw that. Yeah,
that is a great
sneezing.
So Hal Jordan he's angry and he's coming in. So Silver Surfer is just like, maybe he's approaching Oa or something like that. You know what I mean? And Hal Jordan just comes out swinging. So,
can the ring drain the power cosmic?
You know what I mean? So he comes out swinging. You're under arrest. Silver Surfer's like, no, nobody impedes. I was trapped once on a planet for too long. I will never be imprisoned again. And the fight is on. So what does Green Lantern do? Does he come out with like a big boxing glove? Does he
a big boxing glove?
Does Green Lantern have any ability to understand just how powerful the Silver Surfer is, or is the fact that he knows that he's working for a being that destroys planets?
Can the ring drain the power cosmic away from Silver Surfer? I think
Green Lantern attempts to arrest Silver Surfer, but he's too fast. There's too many abilities to keep up with it. So he tries to draw Silver Surfer away from other planets. Okay, yeah. So yeah, he would lead him, try to arrest him. Now Silver Surfer would be making a beeline to an inhabited world. Lantern would be preventing him. You know what I mean? So there would be like this battle of like, don't impede my way, Silver. So Green Lantern would be like grabbing the board out from under him. Maybe Galactus Silver Surfer tumbles, and then the surfboard goes back under his feet. And as much as Surfer, I think would try to just avoid this nuisance, he would realize I need to address this, and then like the fight would be on, and it would just be, I don't know. I don't think Green Lantern would be doing a boxing glove arrows and I think would be full on like energy blasts towards cosmic power blasts. Now, where do we go from there? Like is this modern Green Lantern that doesn't have the weakness to yellow? Because if Green Lantern still has the weakness to yellow, I think Silver Surfer would like just.
I would not have it. I think Silver Surfer is more powerful than Green Lantern. I think only because of the willpower thing. The idea of the ring is good. Maybe Sinestro can beat Silver Surfer. He's meaner. I mean, his weakness is Hal Jordan.
Right. I do think this Hal would start to realize, geez, this guy's out of my league kind of thing, because I do think we all agree that Silver Surfer is out of Hal Jordan's league. And then Guy Gardner shows up like a missile, boom, hits Silver Surfer. They go tumbling through space. You know what I mean? There's the battle, and just for my purposes, I would love to see Hal Jordan. Guy Gardner and Silver Surfer literally.
Didn't they have a team of Green Lantern, the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern and Silver Surfer?
What was in the amalgam? Is that what happened?
No, they teamed up. I think. I think Ron Mars, I think, and did it,
So,
wrote it.
Silver Surfer sees relentless.
Let me see.
Yeah, so now we got a bunch of lanterns showing up, and Silver Surfer is battling them all, blah, 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 hitting that guy, stunning that guy. Some of the weaker ones are taken out first, and like you said, the Silver Surfer I think he would be able. Silver Surfer has more senses. He would be able to like almost change his frequencies. I think he would see the source of power. It was a one shot by Mars, I believe. Okay,
Yeah.
and I think
But it wasn't Hal Jordan, so it's not that big a deal.
it was an Iron Lantern. So yeah, he doesn't want to fight these guys. He's got a job to do. But now we got Green Lantern, and more are showing up. So I think, absolutely Silver Surfer would beat Hal Jordan, but would he beat 3,600 Green Lanterns showing up? And now the Guardians start to step in. And I think at this point, in this scenario, the Guardians show up, that they tap into the central power of the central battery, and like I think in this scenario that we're concocting right here, I think the central, like all 12 of the Guardians teaming up using the central battery, I think they would they would take out the Silver Surfer, which then causes Galactus to come, and then they're screwed.
Well, that's true. They're screwed. And he eats Oa.
Right.
Wouldn't it be awesome? So Galactus eats Oa and gets
like,
all the Green Lantern power.
Galactus, like, you beat my Surfer. Like, I was going to go after this, but he changes course and he lands on Oa, and like the central battery core. I could just picture like Galactus just picking up the central battery core.
Actually, they could pick up the central battery, have him eating it like this.
I would just picture him picking up the central power core and putting it on his converter. Symbols. In the heart of it, and Galactus then destroys.
If Galactus cares about the Silver Surfer at all, after all this time,
Galactus knows the Surfer's in trouble. Yeah. But like one-on-one, Silver Surfer creams Hal Jordan. One-on-one, he creams Hal Jordan. I don't think there's anybody would disagree with that, because in so many ways, like if we're talking about old Green Lantern, Silver Surfer could just imprison him and chase him until 24 hours is up, then Hal Jordan dies. Or more realistically, I think he would figure out the yellow weakness and take him out. Modern Green Lantern, where he doesn't have the yellow weakness, I think we're talking about a human being that's been enhanced by, like, physically. Everything about Silver Surfer has been enhanced. He is his own power source. I don't think he draws power from Galactus. I think he's imbued to be part of the cosmos, and I think he would just, after a while, just overpower Green Lantern. Green Lantern is a human with an artifact, where Silver Surfer has been created above it. But I do like that idea of, like, Hal calls in the
what about? So we always talked about the DC powers are overpowered. So what DC character could stand up to Green Lantern? Can Superman stand up? I mean, stand up to Silver Surfer?
No way. Silver Surfer would cream Superman, especially John Byrne's Superman, because John Byrne's Superman has understood that it's not so much the mineral kryptonite, it's the radiation. Silver Surfer would be able to copy those radiations. Silver Surfer would be able to mutate Superman into an ant by making different radiations.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think Superman.
I mean, that's the one Marvel character. I think Marvel characters are actually more powerful than a DC character.
Right. I think the Silver Surfer
street level is the opposite.
Is the one DC character that is on par, if not more powerful than most of the DC characters. What about Galactus with Thanos with all the Infinity Stones? I do kind of like the concept that they introduced in the Justice League Avengers team up, that the Infinity Stones are tuned to their particular universe. So, like, if they came into Marvel, they would be or if Marvel, if the Infinity Stones went, but if you forget that, Galactus with the power of the Infinity Stones, that's a good one.
We have some people disagreeing with you, so it's kind of interesting. In
Well,
the
the
chat.
thing about Galactus is Galactus has been defeated before. I mean, he's been defeated by Ghost Rider. You know, he's been defeated because Galactus has various power levels. Are we talking to Galactus fully satiated and top of his game? Or are we talking to where Galactus is putting on a napkin under his shirt, like I got to eat, you know? But I don't know. I don't know. Like the Infinity Stone. Well, I look at it, the Infinity Stones are like, if the like wouldn't Galactus know about the Infinity Stones? And
I would think he would.
right, and like I always like, to me, if I was writing, because this is the problem with the Infinity Stones, they're too powerful. And if I was Galactus in a universe where there's Infinity Stones, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to track down the Infinity Stones, put them in my armor, and then I don't need to eat anymore.
In the Marvel Universe, the Infinity Stones came from Galactus' fellow elders of the universe, like the Collector and the Gardener. They used to convene every once in a while for meetings, so they knew the stones were there, or the gems. They were gems at that point. But either way, Galactus knows about them.
I do agree with Hale Lore that Captain Marvel, and I'm never
I
called
don't
him
know.
Shazam.
I mean, is Shazam that much stronger than Superman?
Yeah, but he doesn't have that weakness to exploit. You can't just change the frequency of radiations and mess with Superman's powers. You know what I mean? Shazam, the only way to defeat Shazam would be
in theory, that Captain Marvel could have so many more powers than he actually showed because of the gods.
I will say that Captain Marvel would beat the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, I still don't
but
think
the Silver Surfer would beat Superman. And to me, that's a testament of good writing, is the fact that they wrote the limitations of the characters. The characters have different, you know, that they're not just clones of each other. Hal Jordan was Parallax and the Spectre. He might have access to those abilities. Does he? You know, but again, I'm talking about the typical version.
I mean, if he was the Spectre, yeah, then he's kind of a Galactus.
But then we're talking about the Spectre fight versus the Silver Surfer. Then we're talking about Parallax versus the Silver Surfer. Again, I'm talking about the typical versions of these characters. That's like saying Spider-Man when he had 6 arms, you know, they are Infinity Gems, not stones. Yeah, they were Infinity Gems in the comics. You're right about
why they changed them to stones for the movies. It doesn't matter. That's semantics. They're the same thing.
What did they say? It's a distinction without differentiation. Join the panel, guys. Come on in. When not fully said, you went to the Galactic Burger joint and had World Burger. Oh man, a World Burger
would be nice.
Got to head out. Enjoy the streams. Keep them going. So I don't know. If Hal Jordan, you know, we got a bunch of people watching. So just tell me what you think. Silver Surfer 1-on-1 versus Hal Jordan. I think the Silver Surfer takes him out. It'll be a fun fight. It'll be a cool fight. It won't be a walk in the park, because I do think one of the good things about the Silver Surfer is he's a little more noble, so he won't just come out swinging. Now, Galactus, Silver Surfer as the Herald of Galactus, where has no access to his nobility and stuff like that, then that's maybe the fight would be a little faster. But I do like the idea if Hal Jordan calls in the core. Wouldn't you buy that comic? A one shot that he calls in and then the whole core beats, and then the Guardians of the Universe step in, and you know they use the central power battery to just
that would be cool.
Boom, Silver Surfer, you just see him floating in space, and then we won, and then they turn around. Galactus is here. I hunger. You know, oh my God, that's what comic books are made of. That is awesome. But somebody said like, again, I have a problem with the Infinity. To me, the Infinity Gems or stones, whatever you want to call them, they're just plot devices. Like,
of course,
you know, I do like the Soul Gem back in 1972 with Adam Warlock.
Well, that was the first one,
right? Because it wasn't this all powerful thing,
right?
It was a MacGuffin, but then it became like too much now. And in a universe where there's Infinity Stones and Galactus, this needs to be addressed. Like, why wouldn't Galactus go after the Infinity Stones and end his hunger? You know what I mean? Because if he, you know, like, I know they say because he's a test. but he's not a test. He clearly can be swayed by words. He has a personality. He has a conscience. He talks. You know what I mean? Like if Galactus never spoke, if Galactus just showed up, never spoke, never, like the only time he reacted was like Reed Richards is hitting him with something and he turns around to swat him, then I could see like he's this being above morality and, but Galactus talked, he engaged, he got drunk with Hercules, I
remember that.
He displayed all of these human traits. Why?
Well, was he supposed to be that human? I doubt that Kirby and Stan Lee wanted him to be that human.
Well, he kept the promise. He kept the promise with a mere mortal, Reed Richards.
That's true. He did do that. You're right.
Then the second time he went after only gas giant worlds, until finally he was like, enough. So he's not a Storm. I can't go up to a Storm and make a bargain with the Storm. So he has agency, and if he has agency, and if he respects humanity and Reed Richards enough to keep him as, why wouldn't he go after the Infinity Stones, and solve all of his problems? I don't know. Interesting point. There was a comic that 5,000 years in the future showed Silver Surfer who got to Galactus level power. Instead of destroying him, he chose to feed Galactus. Oh, so he became like an all-you-can-eat buffet, a never-ending all-you-can-eat buffet. That's pretty cool. Kevin Feige is a hack. He physically challenged them. One more on Marcus also changed their backstory. Yeah, he changed a lot.
They have to make the movies. They're not going to have the history from 1971 Soul Gem all the way. I mean, what are you going to do? I enjoyed the MCU movies up until Endgame and haven't seen one after.
Endgame was the end game for me. I agree with Smokey the Concat. Not having death in the
they changed it. They did change the death thing.
They made Thanos into a blundering fool, if you ask me. A stupid, short-sighted fool. Instead of, like, I wonder, did they change it because they thought it would be too scary? But just this cosmic-powered serial killer obsessed with death. That would have scared the crap out of the average American, I think.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think you're right.
I agree with Logic Finest. Yeah. Hal Jordan is more of a warrior. He's right. But like I said, Silver Surfer was originally a pacifist. There's essentially like two Silver Surfers. Cool. The Herald of Galactus and then the Free Agent. The Herald of Galactus was like, I think, a mindless automaton that would just probably be like, you're impeding my progress. I must, you're no different than a meteor in my way. I must get rid of the problem. Whereas Silver Surfer, the Free Agent, I think would be a little bit more sympathetic and a little bit more, but I think the scenario of Silver Surfer needs to be arrested because he was the original. I just love that story so much. The second scenario is as him as Free Agent. There's not that grand gravitas to the story that Hal Jordan would have to call in the. But man, I don't know. To me, I've never been tempted to write fan fiction before. But this is actually the first time I'm tempted for fan. Oh, Galactus versus Fruitcake. Fruitcake. That's going to solve the hunger problem.
There you go.
There we go. Galactus, fruit. What can't the hostess Fruitcake solve? Galactus versus the Magus. Galactus going after Fitz would be great. Yeah. I would pitch it to Marvel. They'd be like,
"Isn't Galactus gay now?"
Well, that's what I'd say. Galactus takes the Infinity Stones and he becomes gay.
There you go. I think you get that.
Each stone becomes the color of the rainbow. There you go. Galactus hung out with Doom in Secret Wars.
That's a little weird.
Galactus, Lady Death, Eternity, Lord of the Strange. Celestials were there. The Celestials were there in name only. Yeah. How ridiculous was Eternity in that Thor movie? He was basically the wish fulfillment MacGuffin, right? It was just
which Thor was that? The last Thor movie?
Yeah,
I didn't see that one.
Eternity. It looked great.
See, the ones I saw, I separate the comics, and the movies do not invalidate the comics to me.
Right.
So that's just the movies are a separate thing, and I also don't try to rewrite them when I watch them. But when they're bad, they're bad. So that's how
they made Galactus. They made Thanos less villainous, not totally evil, but they made him stupid and short-sighted. Oh, so you okay? So say you succeeded. oh wow, you set back the universe 35 years. Because that's how long it's going to take to repopulate everything. It's just so you had infinite choices and you chose to set back the universe 35 years. You're a moron. The Thanos, you're a scary moron. Thanos in the Marvel movies is the poster child of Dunning-Kruger.
Yeah.
No, Zach, that Doom tried to get Galactus. Yeah. Some person. How about a Silver Surfer starting a burger joint where he has to complete with local, only with the help of some burgers are chain. Yeah, Guy Fieri becomes the Herald of Galactus.
That's a pretty good idea. The Herald of Hamburgers.
So,
yes, like Ronald McDonald.
So I think, again, me personally, and I'm not the voice of authority or anything like that. I'm just thinking. To me, I think we came up with two good scenarios. In both scenarios, Silver Surfer beats Hal Jordan. In the first scenario, Herald of Galactus gets taken out by he's just wrecking the Green Lantern Corps, fighting and fight Green Lanterns like, oh, he makes it to all. Let me finish this. He makes it to all, and then the 12 Guardians have to we actually have to do something in the history of eternity, not just tell other people. And they join hands. They use the power battery, make this grand gesture, takes out the Silver Surfer, and then they're like, yeah. And then Galactus shows up, eats all. I love it. Great what if imaginary Elseworld story. And then the other, we have free agent Silver Surfer, take it out. Here, how about this? What about Silver Surfer shows up to take out Hal Jordan's Parallax?
What if Green Lantern finds an ultimate nullifier?
Then anybody wins. That's like that Mickey Mouse kryptonite.
There's got to be one somewhere.
Yeah. That would be funny. That oh wow, how about that? Gambit is just he sends Aricia out to get the ultimate nullifier. Yeah.
Like Johnny Storm, except she's a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah, being a homicidal.
Johnny Storm might date.
I know.
It has a good point because he
shouldn't be an emo lovesick puppy. What he should be, and what he was a serial killer. Thanos. His name means death. He's named after Thanatos, the Greek god of death. Thanos should be an obsessed serial killer. He just wants to kill. How terrible. There's this space alien with an army of scary demons who just want to kill. One of the
issues is if you read enough of the Thanos, even by Jim Starlin, he is kind of a lovesick.
Right, I know.
And you're like, all right, enough. Oh, all right, you want to be death. I think actually him wanting to kill half the universe for death is a better is a better motivation than in the movies. In the movies, it was like, we're going to kill half the ocean for some environmental New Green Deal thing. When you think about it, so that's bad. The actor did a fine job as Thanos, and he looked okay, so we accepted that. But I'm sure they had the idea of death. I'm not sure they wanted to do that. I think would have been tough in a superhero film for the mass. I hate to use this word, the normies. I think that would have been difficult to do. I'm not giving them a pass. I'm just saying.
Right. Mike, Total Dragon Channel, please come back because this is a great comment.
This is a good
Don't forget that there's a Green Lantern planet, Mogo. Oh my God. Galactus versus Mogo.
But what if they brought in the Ego, the Living Planet?
Well, Galactus already defeated Ego, the Living Planet.
I love the Ego, the Living. Well, he got defeated in Guardians of the Galaxy movies as well, so there's that.
But Mogo, oh my God! So Galactus tries to eat Mogo. Oh man,
Zakatan. Boy, he has a lot of. We should get Zakatan. Should want to come on.
Yeah,
he has a lot of good points too.
I remember a comic where the Punisher got his hands on the ultimate nullifier.
Well,
was that an Elseworld or a What If or anything? And if you know that comic, could you let me know what issue that is?
Yeah.
I know this is it.
That's true.
They tried to make Thanos reasonable, and he's not reasonable.
But,
so basically, we want to kill off half the planet.
I'm biting my lip not to say something political to respond to Zaktan, so I'm going to leave it at that.
But it just shows you how short-sighted and stupid the people who agree with him is. The UEF, because all you're doing is setting back. They say it would take 35 years to bring us back to pre-Thanos level. So to me, all they did was made Thanos a short-sighted, goofy villain. And anybody who followed him is even worse because who's more fooled?
Well, you know what? Even in the comics, Thanos, and like we've discussed before, a lots of times, that Thanos, for him to get defeated, he has to defeat himself. The heroes
Right.
don't always defeat him. There's
Right.
not much else. I mean, so he defeated himself by being stupid in the movies too.
Right.
It's not unknown for Thanos to do that.
But don't get me started on the whole logical fallacy of that Bruce Banner can now generate Infinity Stones and stuff like that through that machine. Galactus versus Unicron, I have to say, I only know Unicron by name. I know he's like a Transformer planet or something like that, but I was too old for the Transformers, so I can't speak with any knowledge about this. Much to one of my foreman Kelvin's, he's a Transformer. Like as much as I talk comics, this guy talked Transformers. And he at breaks, he would show me bits of the movie and stuff. But to see a bit of a Transformer movie out of context doesn't carry. He's like, oh my God, how can you not be moved by this? You know. But I miss Kelvin. He's a good guy. Kelvin, if you're watching, give me a call. Marcus, what you just said is why. For me, the MCU is crap, and Kevin Feige is a hack. Dumb down for the.
That's fine.
I agree with you, and I will defend Kevin Feige to a certain extent. Is that when you take comic books, you have to change things because remember, comic books is a medium for tens of thousands of people, whereas movies is a medium for millions. You have to hammer out a few things, but sometimes I agree. Most of the times I disagree.
I think that Kevin Feige didn't run all the MCU movies. He wasn't there from the beginning,
Right,
running the whole
really good
thing. And it didn't get bad. He really started running when he started about Phase 4, towards the end, the Captain Marvel, and then and then an Endgame, and after that, he didn't run it for the whole time, and he wasn't there for Iron Man 1 and all that. So what are you going to do?
J-Body, you gonna the invite is in the chat if people want to come in. But this is what I've been saying from day one. He has the powers of God on his hand. He could do whatever he wants. Couldn't he just make infinite resources? Or to me, I'm Thanos. I'm concerned about resources. I'm concerned about people.
Now I have to watch the whole thing again. Jeez,
this is what I would do. Guys, what would you do with the power of Thanos? You have the infinite. What would you do? It's a snap. What would I do? I would make that every being, when they reproduce once 1/20th of the time. So instead of getting pregnant and popping out a kid, every living creature reproduces 1/20th of the time.
So,
like I'm thinking of like humans. I'm not thinking about plants.
So the ironic thing about that is that currently almost no country is reproducing enough to restock the population,
right?
Except for like Israel.
Well, because they're importing a lot of, and they're changing the definition of what it means to be Jewish. They're going for like, well, I don't want to talk about that. But
more religious countries will reproduce more than non-religious countries,
right?
And we're getting more and more non-religious, as you would know,
right?
So we're not replacing the population.
This is what I was talking about. There's power levels for Galactus. So keep in mind, every time Galactus shows up, we kind of somehow we have to establish what power level Galactus is. And one of the ways they show that is how tall he is. Can you imagine Galactus shows up and he's as big as a Celestial? You don't mess with that Galactus. I agree to disagree. I can't defend it. Okay, that's fine.
That's fine. I'm not defending him. I just they didn't run
Phantom Outsider showed up. Hey, Phantom. Hail chat. The problem with MCU is instead of taking their time, they stampeded to Infinity War without all the pieces in place, then right to the MCU.
I think they stampeded to Endgame. I think Infinity War was okay.
Join the panel. I don't know. I'm still, and I know because of legal problems, but they shouldn't. The Iron Man movie was fine first. Captain America movie was fine. Thor was fine. They should have done Fantastic Four right then and there because
they didn't have the.
I know. I'm talking. I understand because of legal rights. Again, anybody want to join the panel? Check out John's long box. That's me. Anybody remember this commercial? Terry Maxwell. That's me. Anybody know that Marcus, you don't know that commercial? You grew up in New York around here.
Yeah, I remember that commercial.
Okay. Heroic Tales is on Kickstarter right now. 4 more days. Okay. Didn't Kevin screw up the whole Adam Warlock?
Yes.
Yeah, Adam Warlock. There's no reason
they
for him to be in
completely screwed that up. I feel like they were going to go to one way at Adam Warlock's side, and then they made the turn to Thanos.
They really should have made an Adam Warlock solo movie and then put him in the Guardians.
Like after in between Guardians 1 and 2, an Adam Warlock movie.
Well, what they should,
because it would have given more gravitas to Guardians of the Galaxy, whichever number.
They should have.
Those were fun, you know.
They didn't need a Captain Marvel movie.
No,
they should have put the Adam Warlock movie right there, and then inserted him later on. And then later on, if they had a Captain Marvel movie, then do it. But whatever.
Well, they were in a rush to do, as somebody mentioned in the chat, they're in a rush to get the MCU going.
Right.
So they had to have Captain Marvel, who didn't deserve to be that power.
I agree. Changes are one thing. Some things work better on the page. Some things work better on the screen. Nothing can be one right. Like we all agree that they changed Iron Man from the comic to the movie, and it wasn't bad. The changes I think made sense. The Doctor Strange changes made sense, except for the ancient one being.
You can only see if you feel
Who's
like
this guy.
Hey, what's up, fellas? What you guys
only
into?
see if it has the heart of the movie,
right?
The heart of what you want.
If they keep
not like the first Captain America, I still have tears when he jumps on the grenade, you know. And he's not Captain America yet.
Right.
You know, and I know there's a whole thing, well, the whole second half and the Red Skull's not a great villain. Yeah, that's all movie stuff. But the heart of Captain America was there. Regardless of what you think of Chris Evans. I'm just thinking the movie itself.
Right. They changed Bucky into being Bucky was just a
that made sense.
Bucky was just a 14-year-old kid who stumbled into Captain America changing. You know what I mean? But
they couldn't have a 12-year-old kid be Bucky. They just couldn't do that. But
they made him a better character. I like the movie origin of Bucky better than the comic book.
One of the great scenes in Captain America, the first movie, is when the little Steve Rogers goes into the thing to become Captain America, and he comes out, and Peggy just kind of touches him, and she's like in awe. And that wasn't scripted. That came out because he looked so good that the actress was like, "Oh my God, look at this guy!" And stuff like that goes very far for those movies.
I'm going to give you guys a little bit of comic book knowledge that not a lot of people know, because I have 55,000 comic books. You have to take this as the truth. When Galactus is as big as a Celestial, or he's eating a planet full of spicy foods, you don't want to be near either. Yes, and then he cuts the cheese, and that's where nebulas come from. In the MCU, that's where nebulas come from. Or gas giants. What about groups versus groups? Mole Men versus Skrulls.
Dude, we got to do a Better Ray Bill episode. We got to do Better Ray Bill against somebody. I love that guy.
I think Mole Men aren't used enough.
We'll have to use that.
If you like the Mole Man, pledge for Heroic Tales #2.
I didn't have to say hello to J-Bot. Hey, J-Bot.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, you look great.
Cool.
Unfortunately, I could see you well, too.
Oh, I can fix that.
No, I like seeing faces.
We can fix that real quick.
The Patriarchs, the name of the Patriarch story in issue 2 of Heroic Tales is Subterranean Homesick Blues.
Here we go. More spoilers from John.
Oh, I already told that. A good writer can make films about dumbing down comics and making bad fan fiction. Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I have to enjoy something at some point, you know.
Oh, there's another super chat here. They should have put in. Yeah, but I'm still of the opinion if they left out him and everything like that, if they just jumped into Adam Warlock on his own with Pip the Troll, you know, it like I did with Two Beards One Comic with Kelsey, I think they could have bent it a little bit, but they could have made a great Adam Warlock solo movie. You know, just using those Jim Starlin comics as a guide.
Even a show.
The wrong actor, absolutely. You know who would have been a great? I mean, he's too old now, but we have the cosmic treadmill, and we can make anybody from the past. A young Harry Hamlin, who was Perseus in the Clash of the Titans. Him as Adam Warlock would have been awesome. Everybody's stunned because they can't picture the character. Zayd Comics, $5. Thank you. Oh my God, super chats. I've been out of work for 6 weeks, so every penny counts. Hey guys, just put up your slasher hero comic crossover, Psycho Slumber on Indiegogo. Hope you all dig it. Also, the surfer would win. He ties it all into the topic at the end. So,
Yes.
what's the name? Psycho Slumber is the name of your comic on Indiegogo? Marcus is already on it. All right, he's already on it. He'll put your link in the chat. Hail J-Bot. There you go. And J-Bot, if you have anything to say, just don't, but just muscle in, because between Marcus and I, there's no more oxygen left on the East Coast.
I was saying earlier, we got to do maybe like Kyle Rayner versus Beta Ray Bill or something.
Yeah, Beta Ray Bill. The obvious one, of course, is Thor versus Beta Ray Bill, but I kind of like crossing universes. Beta Ray Bill. So think about that. Okay, now at this point, we'll start coming up with topics for next week's. I think we got we're talking about the MCU now. I think the Green Lantern Silver Surfer is pretty much done, and I really like that story, man. I if I was working for Marvel, I would be writing it right now. The fight was around 12, and he had full control. Okay,
that's fine. I mean, I
got a lot of problems with Feige.
I'm not arguing with logic's finest.
No.
I mean, I enjoyed the first Captain America movie, Chris Evans or not. It's just the way it is. I liked all the.
I kind of like this. This makes me laugh. Okay, so Galactus is.
I'm not asking him to accept.
Ben Grimm jumps up and hits him. Galactus shoots him with the laser beam. He goes into the ground, and Mole Man is brushing his teeth. Hey, Ben, what are you doing?
They did that. Some person they did that.
Keanu Reeves would have been a correct Adam Warlock.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Wow. Well, Keanu Reeves, let's be honest, not a good actor. Great human being. I don't like actors. Very rarely do I like actors. Keanu Reeves is one of the few actors. Not only do I like, but if he was like walking down the street, I'd be like, Keanu, you want a beer? You want a beer? Come on in, Keanu.
He seems to take roles he's good at. I mean, he's self-aware enough, for those stoic roles.
You want proof that he can't act? Go watch Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, I watched that.
He actively pulls you out of that movie.
So bad.
Stay away. Galactus just ate Mexico. Oh no, he's going to India next. Anybody like Indian food? I love Indian food. Marcus, now you asking me to accept Chris Evans as the heart of the.
I'm not asking you to accept anything. You can like whatever you like. It's fine with
everybody.
Me.
I made myself clear.
About
I
this,
don't like Chris Evans as Captain America. He was a great Human Torch, but I don't like him as Captain America. There's an actor who, to me, looks like Captain America. And
I really liked Winter Soldier. That's probably my favorite.
I liked it too. I liked him just fine. But I understand I can't dispute what you guys are saying. It's what it is.
I would love if they recast that guy who plays Jack Reacher on the show as freaking Captain America.
Reacher. I love Reacher.
It'd be amazing.
He kind of plays a dark extra violent Captain America as it is.
Yeah.
That's a great. I really enjoy that show. Reacher.
I feel like what's his name as Wyatt Russell as U.S. agent. I want to see more of him.
That would be cool. I don't know. I haven't seen anything since Endgame, and I never saw Black Panther, so I haven't even seen all the.
This is my choice to play. Oh, let me get rid of this comment. This is my choice to play. And again, yes, I watch Hallmark movies with my wife. Guys, if you're not married,
my wife watches Hallmark mystery movies.
But this guy, Trevor, what's his name? Trevor Donovan.
Yeah,
this guy is Captain America to me.
There you go.
He's got
doesn't
the
look that much different from Chris Evans.
You know what I mean?
Or Chris Hemsworth, or Chris Pratt.
Chris Hemsworth is perfect as Thor.
Yeah, he's good as Thor.
And Chris Pratt, he's not Star-Lord to me, but then again, that's a different character.
It's a different character. And it was a different character in the comics too by that time, to be fair.
If you saw my video where I talked about the origins of Star-Lord and stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Star-Lord was not a good guy. He was
not a good guy. He was bad.
He almost had he murdered people to become Star-Lord. So anyway, this is my choice. Trevor Donovan to play Captain America.
See, they could recast Trevor Donovan as Captain America. I'd have no problem with that. Right. I'm not arguing with you.
He looks like he stepped out of the comic book. Zaid, yo, Jay. Oh, by the way, Jade, put your link in the private chat, and we'll for because you have a comic that you're working on, right?
Yeah. I got my Berserker ash can that you can just DM me.
Yep. The Howling Commandos were not the same.
Yeah, they wasted the Howling Commandos.
Yeah, they
I
absolutely
agree with you there. Yeah,
and they were using blue lasers because they were too afraid to use actual guns. The Marvel Team Up 18 had Moloids versus the Lava Men. Yeah. The Lava Men, who won? I have that comic, but I don't remember. If the Lava Men didn't just Moloids are like useless. They're like Snap Troopers in the later Star Wars movie. Imagine Thoreau's mind-killing Pip in the movie. Oh yeah, it would have been like Dobby. It would have been like Dobby dying. You know, people would have. I can't accept bits and pieces just because they look mostly cool. Bad writing chicks. Yeah, I agree with you. Logic. I think I'm criticizing somebody's writing got me in trouble a couple of weeks ago. But yes, I fancy myself a writer. I'm not a writer until other people say I'm a writer, but I'm pretty harsh on writing. And I will also say writing is the cheapest part of a comic book. I'm writing a script on the way home from commuting to work. I'm writing a script on the toilet. I'm writing a script, in my, on my way home from work, dictating it into my, you know what I mean? But Renzo is at his desk drawing, and he needs to get paid for that time. So like this, you know what I mean? So I'm very harsh on scripts, very harsh. And watch, my comic is terrible and the script sucks.
Your comic's not going to be terrible. You know too much for it to be terrible.
I've been waking up.
I
gotta fix this. I gotta fix this. By the way, I put out an update. The comic is getting lettered as we speak.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
So
so that's all digital though, right? So he's digital letter. It's all digital until you print out the comic.
Right.
Right.
I got the files. So
that's cool.
I got all these different. I got like black and white. I got color. then I'll have.
I don't.
Lettered.
Not to
and
be.
Then I got to do a pre-press guy who does magic. It's a whole step I don't really understand.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't know.
I don't understand that either.
If anybody, you did a comic. Do I have to talk to the printer first before the pre-press? Like, do they need to work together? Because I don't know who I'm going to go printing with. I thought like print press gets ready for printing, and then I'll talk to the printer, because then I'll get like a couple of proofs to see what looks. So, that's where I'm at. It should be lettered. Like Daniel is handing me in a page a day now for coloring. So I think there's only 2 more pages for coloring. Bill is lettering it, and then pre-press and printing. So I think I'm on schedule. I think I'm on schedule. So
don't you wish you had a stack of original art pages though, like this?
Renzo keeps telling me that the first 4 or 5 pages of the comic he did traditional, but it was taking too long. And he says he's going to send them to me. Oh my god! Have that cover maybe, and the first couple of pages, especially page 2, the introduction of the page. Oh my god, I'll cry. What do we say? Stallone as Starhawk was odd, but I could accept Stallone. That's not Starhawk. That's not the character. That's a complete.
No, that's not the real Starhawk. No, it was cool to have him in the movie, though.
Yeah, but I don't know. Marcus, Marvel's demise. Yeah. Oh no, don't.
No, I'm not. No, I wasn't arguing with you. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Right.
It's just
and I like that you're passionate about it, because
they've done so much worse things before.
Yeah. I wonder how old Logic is. Not to poke fun, but I'm 43. We've seen some terrible TV and movie stuff involving superheroes.
I'm 59. Like, we used to like the Hulk TV show. It
was the best.
I couldn't wait to watch the Hulk, and it had so little to do with the Hulk. It was just the Hulk. You got nothing. Like, back then, if there was a T-shirt, like now you can buy these T-shirts like this, dime a dozen. You order them. Back then, you could never see a Spider-Man shirt. No. I'm ordering from the comic. To get the constant. I had this shirt that had Captain America standing from the Constitution, because we ordered from the comic, from what eventually became Heroes World. In 1976. Anything, the Mego dolls, like anything, we go nuts. The Mego dolls. Oh my god.
I will say this. I remember it must have been around 92, because I moved in 93. and I was working at the gas station at the time. So me and my buddy Mike being the same guy who made this Marshall Strong comic, original player in my game, we were sitting in a diner, and he had a Superman shirt. He had a blue shirt with the Superman shield on it. And I didn't know this, but I had coworkers at the gas station also in the diner making fun. Guys I didn't like. These guys were just assholes. So when I went back to work the next day, they were like, "Oh, you and your friend had underoos on." They were making fun.
Yeah.
That's how rare it was. So this is 92, guys. That's how rare it was to wear Superman, superhero comic book stuff in public. So
yeah, the irony of the whole thing is that today there's been DC movie. Superman was the best movie ever, 1978. They couldn't make one better than that. Well, they still haven't, but they're making all these great movies, all these great special effects. Everybody knows who he is. People know who Aquaman is. People know who Captain America is. And nobody buys the comics anymore. Back then, we bought the comics, but there were no movies or anything else.
Mhm.
but back then in 92 at least,
Well, you had the 89. Batman 89.
children wore Spider-Man shirts.
That's right.
Like even the Batman movie came out in 89. The average person didn't really wear Batman paraphernalia. It was still, you got made fun
Well,
of.
that's where it really started. Batman 89 was really
That was the beginning. That was the beginning of acceptance. But
they ruined it with having so many bad Batman movies. I mean, I know you don't think Batman 89 was any good, but having really bad
I'll
Batman
give Batman 89 credit where it deserves, where it changed Batman into a serious character instead of Zao Path Bang.
It did. But
And-
they did.
and it
They
showed
went back
people
to that.
that
Batman, the
superhero-
third one, the second one is okay. The third one or fourth one, a complete joke. And then they shut down superhero movies for years until Blade.
Like
Yeah.
Batman 89 made people realize that superhero movies could be good. It wasn't fun. I just didn't like it. But the average I'm obviously wrong because everybody else loves that movie. But whatever. Oh, Matthew Crecky, this comment's been up here for a while. How do you market your comic? J-Bod, you want to go first? You want to answer this?
Sure. You just the way I did it, social media, and then ask people to be on their shows.
How do I market my comic? Get bored during COVID. Have 58,000 comic books. Buy a house, build a comic book room, and take pictures of it. And then people go, "Wow, you should have a YouTube channel." And then spend 3 years with 3 views per video. Make friends with somebody bigger than you, and then next thing you know, you have a YouTube channel, and then make a comic book.
Yeah.
Not to be flippant, the real answer is, if you know, please tell me, because I'm not complaining. I got just about 300 backers for my comics on 2 different platforms, and people are telling me that that's phenomenal success. And I'm still amazed and thankful that I made like $7,000 on my comic, being that it's my first comic. And everything. But I would like to learn how to market better, and I would like to do things in the future. So, Matthew, the answer to your question for me, honestly, is I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I wish I knew the answer.
Yeah, take it to the local comic shop too. That's what
I know what we do. Invite a guy on your channel and have him choke to death on camera. That's
sorry,
good.
John. I probably have to go get something to drink. John,
No,
I remember when you were talking to Fabian early on, and he said, "Well, if I make a comic and only 200 people buy it, why would I make that comic?" And I'm like, "Oh my god."
Because you have to make
completely missed the point of this whole thing, and
you have to make it. It's in your soul.
When I
make it. And if one person buys it, you're like, hell yeah.
And you're not the only one.
I mean, far be it for me to defend Fabian Nizieto, who basically insulted me while he was a guest on my channel.
Yes, I was there for that.
But
I'll never forget that.
I understand his point of view. He's a guy that was selling 100,000 copies an issue.
He's not a great writer though.
But you know what I mean? To go from 100,000 issues to 300, I understand where he's coming from. I'm going from 0 to 300.
Right, but that's what his point. He didn't understand that part of it at all.
Right.
And but I think you're not the only one that he just dismisses. He dismisses many other people, including Rob Liefeld. So
who won?
He's a special type of person.
So who won? I think in both scenarios, the Silver Surfer beats Hal Jordan. But in scenario A, the epic Herald of Galactus Silver Surfer takes out
Be back in a minute.
waves and waves and waves of Green Lantern Corps till he fights his way to Oa. And then the Guardians step in, use the power of the battery to repel the Silver Surfer, which then causes Galactus to come in and just eat Oa. Oh my God, I love that story. Scenario B is where Hal Jordan and free agent Silver Surfer fight one-on-one with, there's no planets to be destroyed or whatever, misunderstanding, beyond a compelled. I think Silver Surfer would take out. So Hal Jordan would come out swinging first because he's the more impulsive character. Silver Surfer would try to not fight for as long as possible until finally, I think he would just drop the hammer, either exploiting the 24-hour weakness, the yellow weakness, or just, depending upon the version, overwhelming him with master power after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Stallone was supposed to be Starhawk. He had his name, but they ignored the whole Starhawk as a joint being with Cosmic. Right. And it's funny because Starhawk could have played totally into the SJW gender thing because he's male and female. They could have had this whatever rainbow mafia character right handed to him, and they messed it up. It's unbelievable how bad they can mess up sometimes. As I drool all over myself. Yes, I'm 48. You forgot 2 comic book related shows, movies. We were lucky. Yep. J-Bot, I'm in my mid 50s, so watching Spider-Man. Yeah. Do you remember that? The Spider-Man live action show, I remember like not going out. I'm like, I got to stay home and watch this because it was so infrequently that we got anything comic book related, live action or we had the animated Super Friends, but even as a kid, I knew that was kind of hokey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had to rent it. It wasn't airing when I was a kid. We had to physically find the VHS and rent like the movie. I remember watching it was the movie, I guess, but it had like the clone Spider-Man.
Well, I remember my friend from school taped all the 95 Spider-Man episodes, the 90s Spider-Man episodes. And my son watched them over and over, even though there were lines all over it because he was taping it off his TV. So, and then, that 90s Spider-Man cartoon show, which really wasn't that bad.
When someone knows what's going to happen, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Starhawk, the character, he's like a time loop character. So, he's from the future, but he went back in time and then relived. So he kind of is experiencing the past for the second time. So he kind of knows what's going on and he becomes aloof because he doesn't want to interfere at the time. It's a pretty fascinating character. Also, he's struggling. It's a male and female that got merged through some sort of his own wife. Right. Him and his wife. So
he was Alita. His Alita was
sometimes he's super boobalicious Alita. Sometimes he's, pricky, annoying Starhawk.
And the rest of the Guardians didn't know that.
So it's a pretty complex character, and quite frankly, I do think Sylvester Stallone is a good actor, and I think Sylvester Stallone is a good writer, but I think he's horribly miscast to play the comic book version of Starhawk, to play the space pirate version of Starhawk.
I miss Vance Astro. I like Vance Astro.
Somebody appreciates that, okay? Movies are neat and all, but comics are absolutely. Would any of us be here on a Friday night if we did? Does anybody remember the live action Captain America TV show? Yeah, it was a movie, if I remember, or was it a pilot for a TV show? But either way,
it was a pilot movie for Red Brown was Captain America. He had that weird
helmet
and clear shield
on a motorcycle.
Do you remember Kathy Lee Crosby as Wonder Woman before Linda Carter?
Right, she was the original Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
I remember she got changed in a car while people were watching, and I was like, oh my God, the lady's getting.
And the other two was the Doctor Strange pilot that ABC did.
I only saw that once as a kid.
Somebody said the same kid sent me this tape. I don't have it. And I've watched it again. My mother loved that. And when I watched it again, it wasn't as good. And it wasn't as close to Doctor Strange as we remember. And they didn't.
I love the Adam West. My wife bought me a box set DVD that comes with like a little car and everything. I love it. It has like outtakes and auditions and everything. I absolutely love the Adam West.
Did you ever watch the Spirit TV movie?
Yeah, with Yubi Brown, with Yubi instead of Ebony.
Right, and then that was the same guy who played Flash Gordon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
whoever
it
thought
was good,
Aquaman
it was a little hokey. Even
was
back
like,
then,
maybe
it
if
was
they
a little
gave
hokey
Cars
for
of Golden
TV.
admission. Let's. I want to make one thing clear. Nobody went to see Aquaman. People went to go see Jason Momoa, like half naked swimming around. Like that's like the only superhero movie that all the wives wanted to go see. You know.
Then they want to see if it had stuff to do with Batman and Justice League and things like that too. So it did have that to it, but yeah, it was mainly the chicks went to go see that one.
Supposedly, Denny O'Neil stood up and screamed during the viewing of Batman and Robin.
I believe that.
I never saw it. I saw the Penguin one was the last Batman movie I saw of those.
That's Batman too. Yeah.
Yeah, I never saw the third one. So I never saw George Clooney as Batman. I never saw Val Kilmer as Batman. I'm like I said, I very easily cut things out of my life, and I don't hate watch. Like Rings of Power, I don't even watch reviews telling me how bad it is. It doesn't exist, and it's hard to keep it not existing when people keep when you so I don't click on it. I don't look at it as if Galactus ate all of the Owens, that might last for a while as they're immortals. Extremely, like the power battery. What about like if Galactus like the power could he just hook that up as like a hot dog stand? He just gets hungry and eats from the power battery. Yeah, these are all the important questions.
I don't know.
Do you think if you ate too much, you'd get fat?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Fat Galactus.
Fat Galactus.
It was more Justice League Aquaman than Super Friends without, for the most part, the world building. I kind of curious.
1987 Spirit movie.
I stayed to want to watch that X-Men made for TV movie. What's Exo-Man? Is that a type? There were two TV Cap movies. There were two?
Wow.
I only remember one. I love those.
The VHS Cap movie.
You can watch the 1987 Spirit TV movie on Internet Archive. And Dana Vision was in it. She was in Deep Space Nine.
There was a Hulk versus Thor. Yep. That was Lou
That's pretty bad too.
And Thor was like a guy with like fur on his arm, and he had like a lump hammer. And then there was a Daredevil where Daredevil was Hulk's
Daredevil, yeah. He had that black suit like they wore in Daredevil Man Without Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Starhawk is one of my favorite characters.
He was far between.
He's a mutant. He was a mutant. I don't remember that. He's a mutant who also an avatar of the Hawk God. Yeah, I love his battle against Korvac. Yes, that was great. He was another one of those who had like vaguely undefined powers. An actor that appeared in that Doctor Strange TV movie actually has appeared in the MCU movie. I forget who. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me know. I think there was a TV movie of Daredevil versus the Hulk. Yes.
Right. I remember seeing that as a kid. It was an event that they were advertising, man. We're like, whoa, why is he black? Oh, it's Daredevil. Who cares?
That's exactly right. So it's all relative, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And rumor has it that if the Hulk TV series lasted one more season, they were going to introduce a female Hulk. So that's why Stan Lee was like, we got to make a female Hulk and own the character. Otherwise, the TV show will own the character. So they kind of rushed out She-Hulk.
So many of the creations of comics were made because of business decisions, and nobody. Now we start to talk about it. Why is it all these Captain Marvel? So Marvel can keep the name. Mm. There's always going to be somebody named Captain Marvel in Marvel, so that DC doesn't get it back. That type of thing. They learned their lessons after all this time.
So there you go. I think the big question is where's Galactus gets. Yeah. So make up a character, the Cosmic Haberdasher. I know I'm going to catch hell for this, but I don't like Jim Carrey.
I don't like Jim Carrey either.
Jim Carrey bothers me. I like Andy Kaufman, so I saw him in the Andy Kaufman movie, and I do like the Truman Show, like because Jim Carrey's kind of subdued in that. Mm-hmm. Just like I like Robin Williams, but I don't like crazy Robin Williams. My favorite Robin Williams movie is a Garp and then Moscow on the Hudson. Oh, and
I saw those movies. Yeah,
Fisher King. How can I forget Fisher King? That's my favorite. Tickle. Somebody's tickling me. All right.
Those are the movies he made between cocaine binges. That's why you like
them. Yeah. Like I don't like crazy like toys and nonsense. Robin. 60-second photo. Oh my God, that is a great.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That is a great Robin Williams as a. Oh, that's scary. That's the kind of movie that scares me.
He was in what? Was that Insomnia or Insomniac? He
There's
was
another
with
one,
Al Pacino?
Insomnia, and then Sick and Second Floor. And people kind of mix up those two movies, but he played like villains in both those movies.
Yeah.
There was a Hulk Daredevil TV movie.
He was a good actor.
John Rhys Davies played Kingpin. I gotta watch it again.
I bet you it's awesome.
Jim Carrey as Galactus. That would make me not want to watch who. I still say Christopher Walken as Galactus. I'm here to eat your planet.
Galactus.
I'm here to destroy the guy. I hunger. I still see Captain Marvel as
They'd probably be like,
Right.
yeah, okay, let him eat the planet. What are we gonna do? He's so likable.
Right. The rumor has it that Stan Lee did not want to take Captain Marvel and bring him to Marvel because the Fawcett Comics made Captain Marvel Shazam, and then immediately DC launched a lawsuit, and the lawsuit went back and forth till I think 1952, because of the Comics Code Authority and those communist hearings and everything like that. Fawcett Comics said comics are done. Congress is getting so they didn't see any reason to pursue this lawsuit. So they basically said you win, and pretty much gave. Oh no! They pretty much said you win. They stopped publication, and I think DC, like there was a time period where Captain Marvel was like open to it because there was the split Shazam Captain Marvel, there was other Captain Marvels, and then DC bought the Fawcett catalog. And I think they just forgot to renew the copyright or trademark or whatever it is.
They didn't use the character for so many years.
And in 1968, Marvel took the name Captain Marvel. And Stan Lee says he didn't want to, but I don't know how much I believe that because he took Daredevil. He took other names of characters that existed before. So Marvel basically squatted on the name, which is a great business decision because how can Marvel Comics?
Marvel really wasn't a big enough operation to buy other comics. DC had been doing that forever. They bought all Plastic Man, all the Will Eisner characters except for the Spirit that they had in the comics. The Black Hawks was that from the name is the romance comic, Kirby and Simon's romance comic,
the Freedom Fighters and everything.
Yeah, all that stuff. They always bought characters. Marvel didn't do it. Marvel was just a mom and pop organization, and even when they were the Marvel, up until Captain America #1, they could only have 8 comics at once. That's why they did those split comics.
Yeah, there was.
They could only do 8 monthly.
I like that. I like that. What DC bought when they bought another company, they were another world.
DC was distributing Marvel.
Captain Marvel works best to me in its own more innocent world.
Although I did like Jerry Ordway's Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I did. That was the best. So in 1968, Stan Lee was, according to him, ordered to take Captain Marvel, and they made him as different from Captain Marvel as they could, and they didn't know what to do with them. Those comics weren't that good.
The first few are okay with Gene Colan, but once they started with the other artists, it ended,
It was almost like
comics, man.
It was almost like it's your turn to draw Captain Marvel. It's your turn to write Captain Marvel.
Frank Springer. Who else did? Some weird guy.
It was below cancellation.
Boring.
It was below cancellation numbers, but they didn't want to cancel it because they wanted to cement the trademark. And I think they just were like, "Here, you, Jim Starlin, you do whatever you want. We don't care."
Well, they redid Gil Kane and Roy Thomas redid Captain Marvel like they did with Warlock. And then that was 2 years between issue 18 and 19 or something silly.
Oh, really?
And they had a short run till about Kane stayed on until about 24 or 25, and then Wayne Boring did an issue, and then there was another delay, and they said, "Here, Jim Starlin, you do whatever you want." And they loved it because nobody paid attention to Jim Starlin. He did whatever the heck he wanted. So that's how he had all that freedom because it wasn't a big selling title. But that's how he got that great costume because that's that typical Gil Kane, wonderful.
That is a great costume.
I mean, nobody made better sleek costumes than Gil Kane.
Whatever happened to Quasar?
I don't know what's happened to Quasar now.
I don't know what's going on now, but he was like, that would have been a great team of Quasar versus Green Lantern, right?
That was Andy Smith's first comic. Quasar.
Oh, was?
Yeah, at Marvel, yeah.
Because weren't those the quantum band, the bands that he used had Captain Marvel's Power Cosmic or something in, or something.
No.
I bet, yeah, I think so.
He had what happened. Captain Marvel had the Nega bands.
That's right.
He had the Nega bands, and Captain Marvel. There was a 50s comic, 50s character called Marvel Boy.
Yeah,
and that was when Marvel Comics was Atlas Comics, and Marvel Boy was from Uranus, and he, there was an advanced scientist that lived on Uranus, and he came to Earth, and he was a super athletic. He was trained by experts from Uranus, and he had these. I forget what they called them, but they weren't called quantum bands. And all they really did was flash light. So people would get super blinded. Then he would beat the shit out of you while you were blind. For some reason, I really liked that character.
It was a Bill Everett character, so it had a lot of heart. It was a good character. It ended up looking like a great character.
And they brought him back in a Fantastic Four comic, and he went nuts. And they called him the Blue Marvel, and he exploded and died. And that was the end of him. But the bands were left. Reed Richards studies the bands. S.H.I.E.L.D. takes them. And they become like a whole big thing in Marvel 2-in-1 with Project Pegasus.
Yeah, I remember that. That's great.
They were experimenting on them. And then they started giving the bands to other people. And other people were blowing up. So nobody wanted to wear them. Until finally Wendell Vaughn, he put them on because everybody blew up. But like, I forget exactly what happened. There was a supervillain or whatever, or things were on fire. So he put them on, fully accepting that he's going to blow up, but he's going to save everybody at the time. And he didn't blow up because it found out that if you act aggressively, they acted, it was like a failsafe so that supervillains wouldn't take so he acted in a protective manner, and he wasn't meant to mess, and now he became Quasar.
Man, that sounds amazing.
And then they retroactively said that Marvel Boy is still alive in the Agents of Atlas. And normally I hate that kind of crap, but I really like that comic. So what happens was the scientists on Uranus, these were Eternals, and somewhere along the way they did become Eternals. So and then in Agents of Atlas they actually said it was a penal colony. These were Eternals that
a
were
penal
bad.
colony on Uranus.
So there's a penal colony on Uranus, and they were bad. And what they did was they sent him on Earth, as their agent to gather information, but he was too much of a good guy. So they basically like cloned him or took another guy and surgically altered him and sent him to Earth. But he was crazy. He was a bad guy. And those bands killed him. So now the real Marvel Boy, he got his headbands and everything like that. And he's counteracting these evil Eternals. And then the evil Eternals ended up getting devoured by the Uranians, these methane breathing alien mollusk looking creatures that live in Uranus. The mollusks that live in Uranus.
Well,
so I love those Agents of Atlas comics. And now I just bought the newest 5 issues that's like
that was good. Yeah.
They get rid of all of because the original Agents of Atlas was supposed to be the 50s Marvel characters. So it was Marvel Boy, Gorilla Man.
Yeah, they did a what if with that.
And Venus. And now it's just we're Asians. It's all the Asian characters. So it's the beginning of this. So I didn't read them yet. So I'll let you know how they go. Frog G. Check out Frog G. Join the panel.
Well, Captain Marvel, they created. You did the Sunday comic with Monica Rambeau, and then when they decided Monica Rambeau shouldn't be Captain Marvel, and they wanted to bring back, I don't know what came from. It was that miniseries with Captain Marvel's son, which is really a clone of him, Kent Jennings-Fell.
Yeah, he was called Legacy at first.
Yeah, he had a terrible costume, and then he became kind of cool looking. Captain Marvel
he was 90s extreme. Remember, he had a tattoo on his butt.
I remember it was terrible.
He was ridiculous. That 90s stuff.
Oh God!
And then after that one was over, they did kind of bring back Marvel, but he was really a creed. Lee Weeks did a great comic, a confusing comic, but a good comic. I think that was during what was that time when everybody turned into Skrulls?
Oh yeah.
Whatever,
Secret Invasion.
You haven't been here for 10 years. You've really been a Skrull. You mean I've been banging a Skrull for 10 years? Oh yeah, sure.
Human Torch did it.
Yeah, I know you're reading that. Banging the Skrull for all those years. So I wasn't Alicia.
So there you go. That's crazy.
Secret Invasion. That's it. Thank you, Phantom Outsider.
So okay, I'm going to wind this down now because it's 11 o'clock. What should we do for next week? What is it's clobbering time for next week?
Right. I know Ninja is right. Capullo started on Quasar. That's right.
I do like the idea of Skrulls versus like just the Kree in an all-out war.
Mm-hmm. Since you did Lantern, you could always do like the Corps. What would be DC's equivalent of like the Green Lantern Corps? You know,
we could do Megaton Man versus the Tick or something.
Anybody?
Scud versus Deadpool.
There you go. Oh, Deadpool. Deadpool wins.
Anybody got any good suggestions?
Somebody had a suggestion way back here. Hail Allure had a suggestion. I'm trying to go through the chat and find it. I can't find it.
Skrulls versus Dire Wraiths.
The Dire Wraiths, yeah.
The Tick versus Scud. Planet of the Apes versus King Kong. They would probably worship Kong.
Probably.
Flaming Carrot versus Too Much Coffee Man. Now that is a deep cut.
I remember Too Much Coffee Man.
The Great Lakes Avengers versus the Tick and his friends. What were they called?
I can't find them.
I like the Kree versus the Skrulls. Just talking about that.
How about we could do something to do with Shazam. Maybe, or you like Beta Ray Bill. I see your suggestion
Captain
here.
Marvel versus Beta Ray Bill.
Well, we just did Captain Marvel versus
Beta Ray Bill. How about that?
Yeah, we don't want to do Kyle Rayner again.
Ooh, we kind of. Yeah, we just did a Lantern. I think Captain Marvel might be cooler.
Hail Allure said Punisher versus Bane.
That's a good one.
That's not bad.
A mutated offshoot of the Skrull.
Of course, I created Bane before Bane. I didn't tell Graham that, though.
Milk and Cheese versus Red and Stimpy.
I was about to say Milk and Cheese versus Cerberus.
How about Reed Fleming, the world's angriest milkman?
Versus Milk and Cheese.
Versus Milk and Cheese. There you go. I love
guys. I'm leaning towards Captain Marvel, Shazam versus Beta Ray Bill.
I like that, or even just Thor. Either or. I mean, it's the same powers, right?
Hostess Cakes versus Drake Cakes. Yeah, but we want Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah. Do you want the Beta? Do you want like?
I haven't made drawings of Beta Ray Bill. I've only drawn Thor.
You know. Do you want the Daniel Warren Johnson Beta Ray Bill or like classic Beta Ray Bill?
I have to read Daniel Warren Johnson Beta Ray Bill. So that's
Shazam versus Adam Warlock.
It's a good one. It's a real good one.
Irving Forbush versus Marvel Mahunkel. That is a deep cut. You get 10 points for Gryffindor for that one.
How about Harry Potter versus Doctor Strange?
Dresden versus Doctor Strange.
How about Hercules versus Hercules? You get DC Hercules and Marvel Hercules. And then we could get really confused halfway through the show.
Yeah, what are you talking about here?
I always liked Marvel Hercules. I always thought he was cool.
I liked him too.
It's funny because that Chris O'Connor, who does those Greek mythology comics, he was like, "Oh, I always like Marvel's Hercules." I thought he would be like, "I don't like him."
When you think about the history of Hercules and to him saying that, what Bob Layton did with Hercules is kind of what would happen. Hercules is kind of a goofy guy, and he would do this and that. I remember when I was at the Creation Con when I was a kid when he announced that he was doing Hercules. And then he promised that he was leaving Iron Man, and Iron Man would be just as good, and it wasn't. We were mad at him.
This is a good one.
Bullseye and Deadshot. Oh, that's a good one.
The Incredible Hercules comic was really good.
Yeah, it was good.
I'll give you that. Some of those. Especially like the did you see they had the cover that was a D&D character cover? I thought that was great.
The only issue I have with that, I was buying it and the kids liked it because they liked the Hulk. My younger son really liked Planet Hulk. And he was so obviously banging Namora during that film, during that series, I kind of had to stop. They weren't at that age where they should really be reading that. So I kind of had to stop buying it. The Incredible Hercules.
Hercules versus Kazar? Kazar doesn't have any powers.
Kazar versus Conan.
Conan would kill Kazar.
Azor, I don't know. How about Shannon Shido versus Red Sonja, though? There you go.
That'd be a good one too. Yeah.
Who wins? As long as it's mud and their tops fall off.
Tops fall off.
The reader
wins.
wins. That's who wins. The readers.
I don't know. I'm a,
The readers. That's right.
I'm lean. What do you think? I like Captain Marvel, Shazam.
I think that's great. I mean, using Beta Ray Bill is actually a great idea because it's so obvious to do the second Thor, maybe the more powerful Thor.
Hulk versus Doomsday
Or Thunderstrike. Throw Thunderstrike in there.
Maybe Captain Marvel. Maybe Captain Marvel through all of them. Which one will Captain?
If
Would
we
be
threw
Captain Marvel?
Thunderstrike
Which one would Captain Marvel beat?
the fight would get canceled halfway through the fight, right?
Well, we don't know which one. So Shazam, Captain Marvel shows up, and we discuss who's he going to beat? Can he beat Beta Ray Bill? Can he beat Eric Masterson? Can he beat Thor? It could be this. Which one would defeat Shazam?
So there we go.
Sure.
I think next week we'll do Captain Marvel, Shazam versus Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of good ones here. Keep this up because I want to do this for a while. You know what I mean? So, like, this is a really good one. Oh, I thought this was the Shadow versus Batman. Shadow versus Batman, I think, is good because we could talk about the history of both characters and everything like that, and the cultural importance. Like, more than just a fight, I think that would be just an interesting comparison between the two characters. Beta Ray Bill versus Juggernaut. There was a Thor versus Juggernaut that lasted days. I don't know Exo Manowar, so I like. Keep in mind, I'm kind of limiting myself to characters that I'm familiar with. So, like, if we wanted to do like Valiant characters, well, let me finish. If we wanted to do Valiant characters, I would have to get like committed people to come in and host, and I'll just like facilitate the talk because I don't know these characters.
I did like Exo Manowar.
Yeah, that idea was pretty cool.
Oh. Phantom Outsider, if you're going to make that claim, show us the issue. Show us Batman versus the IRS. Nobody wins against the IRS.
Unless you do Beta Ray Bill without the hammer.
Yeah, but the hammer makes Beta. I mean, the whole idea is he turns into with his hammer, Stormbringer.
Well, yeah, but in the
you like Beta Ray Bill? Do you see what?
Well, look at that Daniel. Oh, he stayed Beta Ray Bill without the hammer, and Daniel Warren Johnson.
Thor breaks it, and they fight, and Thor breaks the hammer, so he can't turn back.
Ah, I see.
So it's him kind of like dealing with being stuck like that, and it's really neat. It's a cool.
That was good. I'll have to look at that. That'd be cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh man,
look at that. This dude's got everything.
Dude, God forbid somebody breaks in his house. That guy's fucked. Whoever breaks in his house.
I know. Well, you live closer than I do, Jay. But you could break in his house.
Oh no! I said, God forbid someone does. I feel sorry for that guy. They got a Captain America shield and a hammer to the skull, bro.
You're still closer. I used to be closer to him, but not anymore.
I do like this Batman versus the Punisher. That will probably be
that's happened in 2 comics. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember the end of one of those where Punisher was going to kill Joker. Like he was going to just shoot him in the face.
He should have shot him in the face. That
would have been great.
All right, well, I'm going to shut this down now. So I think this was a lot of fun. I think 3.5 hours is a good talk. Thanks a lot, everybody. This was fun. I'll make up the chat. I think next week we'll do Captain Marvel versus Beta Ray Bill.
I think that's a good one.
If you like Phantom Outsider, if you have that issue number with that claim, bring it up so we could look it up. All right. I know I love those comics. Great stream. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for everybody who super chatted. I hope I got everybody. I got 3. Okay, yeah. RRTNZ. We got this. We got R. And we got Zaid. Thank you, guys.
That's great.
Thank you. All the best. Thank you, everybody. We got. I forget how many days left I have on my Kickstarter. I think 3 more days. So I think I'll probably have a closeout stream Sunday night because I think it closes down on Monday. And then there'll be a couple of days where you won't be able to get Heroic Tales until the Indiegogo launches. So you better believe I want to launch hopefully next Friday. And if I do that, I will be on Twitter making announcements and everything like that. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. J-Bot,
Good night,
you
everybody.
got your comic, you got Berserker.
Yeah.
And Marcus, you where is your stuff available?
MythicAmericas.com. You can see the 8-page graphic novel part 2 and search for number 1. I'm working on part 3 now. It's free. Just MythicAmericas.com.
Myth America.
It's a Warhammer games for indigenous peoples.
See you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night.